Chapter 1003, Talent Still a Little Too Low. The elder's words pulled Wang Ting's thoughts back from the astonishment he received after hearing about the existence of the small worlds. He had a bad feeling. He initially thought that he would be able to get the Baron's title after passing the test. Now, they weren't able to strip Cao Hongtu of his right to the title. This meant that they would be fighting with each other. So, this will be a trial between both of you. The one with the greater potential and the one who gets more benefits in the small world, proving that you have stronger ability and intelligence, will inherit the Baron's title, the head said. Wang Ting took a deep breath. Were they asking him to fight with a heaven stage martial warrior? May I say something? Wang Ting interrupted the head of the chamber with a frown. Go ahead. The head nodded. Are you telling me to enter a small world to compete with a heaven stage martial warrior? Wang Ting asked directly with a contemptuous smile. The head didn't get angry. He understood Wang Ting's concern and replied calmly, when you'll enter the small world, Cao Hongtu's ability will be suppressed to the cosmos stage. Also, you can look for reinforcements. However, including yourself, there can only be 5 people. Everyone that enters must be lower or at the cosmos stage. 5 people lower or at the cosmos stage. Wang Ting contemplated. How can you ensure that there's no one above the cosmos stage on both sides? The Flaming River world only allows cosmos stage and below martial warriors to enter. There's only one last chance to enter this small world before it collapses and disappears forever. If someone uses an attack above the cosmos stage, the world will disintegrate immediately, and everyone inside will perish. Are you satisfied with this arrangement? The head finished his explanation and asked Wang Ting. Wang Ting's expression was gloomy. He pondered for a moment before nodding. This was the best result at this stage. And it wasn't like he didn't have any chances. Wang Ting glanced at Cao Hongtu. The smile on his face was blossoming. He snorted. The guy must be thinking he would definitely win. He would be able to find 3 cosmos stage martial warriors if he wanted to. Wang Ting also decided to have An Lan suppress his ability to the cosmos stage and enter the Flaming River world with him. He didn't mind copying Cao Hongtu's tricks. Cao Hongtu probably didn't know that he had a heaven stage martial warrior on his team. Moreover, this martial warrior was at the peak of the heaven stage. As for talent, he had nothing to be afraid of. He didn't mind dazzling them with his divine-level wind talent. But he wouldn't do it unless it was necessary. Divine-level talent meant that he had the potential to reach the eternal stage. Many people would be fearful of him, and it wouldn't bring him any benefits. He needed to restrain his potential lest he invited trouble to his doorstep. When are we taking the test? Wang Ting asked. The talent test will be held today. Then, you'll have 2 days to prepare before entering the Flaming River world, the head said. He got up and walked out of the hall. Follow me. Everyone stood up and followed him. No matter what their motive was, these people wanted to know who would win the talent test. Many of them looked down on Wang Ting since he came from a faraway planet. They were pureblood nobles with honorable status. They found it a joke that this low-class monkey wanted to squeeze his way in and be a part of them. Rather than saying they wanted to know who would win, it was more accurate to say that they wanted to see how Wang Ting would lose and get exiled from this city. They didn't think that he was comparable to Cao Hongtu. One was a planetary stage martial warrior while the other was a heaven stage martial warrior. It was easy to tell who had more potential. Who knew if Wang Ting could reach the cosmos stage, much less the heaven stage? As for Cao Hongtu, he was already a formidable character. A heaven stage martial warrior deserved to be respected. Besides, he had gained many military exploits. Even if they didn't like him, they wouldn't belittle him. In summary, the universe was a place where one's ability ruled. Wang Ting's strength was just too low. One after everyone left, only Wang Ting and Cao Hongtu were left in the hall. Junior brother, there's still time for you to admit defeat. It'll be a life-or-death battle in the Flaming River world. This isn't what I want to see. Cao Hongtu smirked as he stood up and patted his elegant and exquisite purple long gown. One that's not for you to worry, senior brother Cao. You should think about the talent test later. Don't lose to a planetary stage martial warrior like me, Wang Teng sniggered. He wasn't angry at all. He turned and left the hall without waiting for Cao Hongtu's answer. Cao Hongtu frowned and went out too. Everyone came to the 5th floor of the chamber. There was a place especially for testing one's talent. When Wang Teng walked in, he noticed an enclosed area in the middle of this huge room. Its walls were transparent, so one could see the situation from the outside. This is a talent testing device. You'll enter and absorb the force inside for 10 minutes. The device will be able to detect your talent level. Who will go first? The head looked at Wang Teng and Cao Hongtu. Senior, please, Wang Teng said. He allowed the other party to go first because he didn't want to scare everyone too much. All he had to do was to make sure his talent was a level above the other party. In that case, I'll go first. Cao Hongtu entered the device without any hesitation. As the device closed up, the entire space got filled up with earth force. Cao Hongtu was an earth element martial warrior. As he stood in the middle of the device, all the force started surging to his body. The absorption rate was fast. In the blink of an eye, a force whirlpool formed around him. Cao Hongtu's earth talent has reached the Emperor level. Emperor level earth talent. That's barely a pass. However, he's able to reach the heaven stage with his Emperor level talent. Cao Hongtu is someone with strong perseverance. He has encountered some good opportunities too. The nobles around started discussing in low voices when they saw this scene. Emperor-level talent. Wang Teng smiled when he heard the different voices. His lowest talent was at that level. Beating Cao Hongtu was a piece of cake. Top-tier Emperor-level Earth talent. After some time, the device reported Cao Hongtu's talent level. Just as everyone predicted, it was at the Emperor level. There was no surprise. But he had top-tier Emperor-level talent. Every talent was segregated into top-tier, middle-tier, and low-tier. Top-tier Emperor level was good enough. It was many times better than a middle-tier Emperor level talent. Cao Hongtu walked out calmly. He didn't seem to think that possessing a top-tier Emperor level talent was something impressive. This was the truth. Most of the people here had a higher talent than him. The Emperor level must be the lowest level present. He felt helpless. The lower one's talent, the harder one's path would be in the future. He was lucky and managed to advance to the heaven stage, but he was only at the 2nd level of the heaven stage. As he went further, he felt his cultivation speed slowing down exponentially. It was getting extremely difficult to achieve a breakthrough. Talent was something one was born with. Unless one was a heaven-defying monster, there was no way one could change one's innate talent. Although Cao Hongtu was an ambitious man, his path would get narrower in the future. He might not be able to reach the 5th level of the heaven stage. Heaven stage martial warriors could still die. If he didn't manage to break through to the universe stage before his life came to an end, he would perish. This was why he wanted to get the Baron's title by hook or by crook. With it, he could get more resources. If his talent wasn't up to the mark, he would use more resources. He would immerse himself in resources until he reached the universe stage. In the Great Qian Empire, he could only become his own ruler if he reached the universe stage. That was the only way he could control his life and not be treated like a dog. At that time, he wouldn't need to bend his back and sell his daughter to appease the powerful families. No one knew the emotions swarming in his heart under that calm expression. They didn't know how frustrated and humiliated he felt. The others were aware that talent would affect one's future, so they sympathized with Cao Hongtu. His talent was still a little too low. Chapter 1004, crushed using talent. While the members of the noble families were feeling sad for Cao Hongtu, the head's voice interrupted their thoughts. Wang Teng, it's your turn. Everyone's attention was shifted to Wang Teng. Cao Hongtu's talent was at the top-tier Emperor level. What about Wang Teng? It was normal for a martial warrior from an underdeveloped planet to have a low talent. It was already a miracle for a planetary stage martial warrior to be born there. Their talent limited their progress. The talents of the living creatures born on the same planet were almost the same. It was hard to groom a real genius if one's talent was too low. Race and bloodline were predestined. It sounded helpless, but it was the truth. Emperor-level Earth talent *250 Emperor-level Earth talent *300 Wang Ting walked over after collecting the attribute bubbles Cao Hongtu had dropped. He stepped into the enclosed space. Please choose your force. A mechanical voice sounded. Fire. Instantly, the enclosed area was filled with a thick fire force. Wang Teng was puzzled. This device seemed quite convenient. It was able to fill up the entire area with ample force in an instant. Would it be effective if he used it for cultivation? His gaze landed on the ground and saw many tiny holes on the floor. The fire force was flowing out of them. I see. Wang Ting activated his eyes of essence and understood how the force was produced. These were force-gathering rune arrays. The device would activate the relevant array according to the element the martial warrior chose. He stopped hesitating and activated his talent, absorbing the fire force. Swoosh! The fire force started gathering around Wang Ting. In the blink of an eye, a fiery red force whirlpool appeared in the enclosed space. This scene was similar to when Cao Hongtu was absorbing his earth force. Emperor-level talent. Looks like they are on par. This is strange. I didn't think a young lad from a remote planet would possess such potential. This is nothing strange. If he didn't have such talent, he wouldn't be selected as the Baron's heir. Everyone discussed in low voices. They were surprised that Wang Ting had emperor-level talent. Cao Hongtu's gaze flickered. There wasn't any expression on his face, though. Their talents might be at the same level, but he was already a heaven-stage martial warrior. He understood how difficult it was if Wang Ting wanted to rely on his emperor-level talent to reach the heaven stage. You could say that one of them was already at the finish line while the other was still at the starting point. How could Wang Ting be compared to him? Top-tier emperor-level talent. As expected, when the device announced Wang Teng's talent, it was emperor-level. Similarly, it was a top-tier emperor-level talent. Their level was the same, but everyone was shaking their heads. They didn't have high hopes for Wang Ting. Not all emperor-level talents could reach the heaven stage. Wang Ting was just a planetary stage martial warrior. The difference between them was huge. The test had ended. There was no suspense. Everyone lost interest and wanted to leave. Wait. Wang Teng's voice was heard suddenly. Huh. The head stopped in his tracks and looked at Wang Ting, who was still in the enclosed space. What's the matter? My test hasn't ended yet. Wang Teng glanced at the impatient crowd and continued calmly, I want to test my Earth Force too. You want to test your Earth Force? Everyone was stunned. Cao Hongtu furrowed his brows, staring at Wang Teng intently. Are you a double-element martial warrior? The head was surprised. I'm a triple-element martial warrior. Wang Teng pondered for a moment and felt that 2 elements were too little. He decided to add one more. 3 elements. This time, everyone was dumbstruck. Triple-element martial warriors were not common. If Wang Teng possessed 3 elements and all his talents were at the emperor level, he would be quite a genius. Cao Hongtu's expression darkened. His gaze turned gloomy. He didn't expect Wang Teng's talent to be so high. He didn't mind if his talent was at the same level, but if he possessed 3 elements, his potential would be much higher. This meant that he had lost the first round. What are your other 2 elements? The head asked. Earth and metal. Wang Ting picked 2 talents randomly. Good, continue testing. The head nodded. Everyone got interested too, waiting for the test result. They wanted to see if all of his 3 elements had reached top-tier emperor level. Starting the earth and metal element test. A mechanical voice resounded in the enclosed space. The fire force was dispelled, and a large amount of earth and metal force swarmed out at the same time. Wang Ting activated both his talents simultaneously and absorbed the 2 forces. Swoosh! A gale blew in the enclosed space. Earth force and metal force gushed towards Wang Ting furiously. A bizarre scene appeared around him. The earth force and the metal force were divided, one on the left and one on the right. They formed 2 close circuits with Wang Ting in the center. None of them affected each other. What a strong control. Hes absorbing two different forces, but both of them remain separated. Wang Ting's talent must have reached the peak of emperor level to be able to do this. Haha, there will be a good show to watch. Everyone was stunned, their curiosity piqued. Some stared at Cao Hongtu with a smirk. Wang Ting's talent was obviously higher than his. They thought that this would be a simple pass, but Wang Ting possessed 3 elements and all of them weren't low. Cao Hongtu was the one who got crushed. Cao Hongtu also knew that his talent was lower than Wang Teng's when he saw this scene. He stood there without any expressions on his face. No one knew what he was thinking. Top-tier Emperor-level Earth talent. Top-tier Emperor-level Metal talent. The device announced Wang Teng's talent quickly. Both were top-tier Emperor-level talents, but the crowd could tell that all 3 of Wang Teng's talents had reached the peak of top-tier Emperor level. This was extremely rare. He could go further with his talents. Wang Ting walked out of the device. Your talent is not bad. The head of the chamber nodded at Wang Ting. Thank you. Wang Ting bowed to show his gratitude. However, he was calm and composed throughout. He only displayed 3 top-tier Emperor-level talents. It was nothing to be proud of. He could get better talents by picking up attribute bubbles, so these 3 Emperor-level talents would be forsaken soon. Beating Cao Hongtu was quite easy. What was there to compare? He didn't even reveal his true power. You'll have 2 days to prepare. Well, gather here 2 days later and head to the Flaming River world. The head left after his reminder. The other members of the chamber followed him. They didn't interact with Wang Teng at all. Valteru from the Parkers family glanced at Wang Teng. There were no emotions on his face. Then, he turned and left. Junior brother, you sure gave me a surprise. Cao Hongtu exclaimed pretentiously. It's nothing, Wang Teng replied in a composed manner. Cao Hongtu didn't expect this reply. He was stunned. Senior brother Cao, I need to prepare for the next trial. Do you have anything else to say? Wang Teng waved his hand and turned to leave. Are you sure you don't want to reconsider it? The Flaming River world is not a safe place. Not everyone who enters manages to come out, Cao Hongtu said in an eerie tone. If you're not afraid, why would I be? Wang Teng turned and smiled at him. Then, he left without any hesitation. Cao Hongtu stood at the same spot and stared at Wang Teng's back. His gaze turned deep, and strong killing intent flashed in his eyes. Wang Teng gathered with Lan and told him about the trial. He told him his plan. You want me to suppress my ability and go to the Flaming River world with you? Lan exclaimed in surprise. Yes. Since Cao Hongtu is doing that, I'll learn from him. Wang Teng sneered. Sure, I'll handle Cao Hongtu. He's just at the 2nd level of the heaven stage, so it's not hard to deal with him, Lan said confidently. It'll be great to kill him in the Flaming River world. Wang Teng's gaze turned sharp. Lan was shocked by Wang Teng's decisiveness and ruthlessness. He kept quiet for a second before asking, how do you plan to find the other 3 Cosmos Stage martial warriors? I think he'll look through the Secondary Career Alliance's mission board, Wang Teng replied helplessly. If you don't mind, I can introduce 3 to you. Lan coughed awkwardly. Oh. Wang Teng looked at him. As long as the money is good. Lan rubbed his hands and sniggered. It was quite funny for a mecha to do this action. F***K, do you love money so much? Wang Teng laughed. So, what do you think? Lan didn't mind Wang Teng's teasing. No problem. 3 Cosmos Stage martial warriors. Is 90 billion enough? Wang Teng was loaded and acted as such. Enough, enough. Lan didn't bargain. He seemed extremely satisfied with this price. His eyes were glowing. Thank you then. Wang Teng smiled. He had to spend this money anyway, so he didn't mind letting Lan earn it. He had a pleasant time working with this mecha. He might be a money lover, but he fulfilled his duties. I'll go find them now. Lan did some operations on his wristwatch and continued, they'll be able to reach within half a day. My spacecraft is parked on the transit planet. Your clansman? Wang Teng asked in surprise. He had a guess. Yes, my clansman from the mecha race. Lan nodded. Wang Ting didn't probe further. They went back to Fan Tining's house and waited for the Flaming River World trial 2 days later. Chapter 1005, 3 missions 2 days later, in front of the noble family consultation chamber. All members of the chamber were gathered here, including the people who would be joining Cao Hongtu in this trial. Wang Ting hadn't arrived yet. Many people started to get impatient after waiting for a while. Why isn't Wang Ting here? How can he make so many people wait for him? Did he give up because he can't gather 4 Cosmos Stage martial warriors? Maybe. He doesn't have any background, so it won't be easy for him to find 4 Cosmos Stage martial warriors. Of course, only a few people were complaining. Most of them had their heads lowered and eyes closed to rest. These members of the noble family consultation chamber didn't have any noble status. They were just representatives sent by the various families. The noble families had been around for a long time, so each faction was huge. Normally, for such occasions, the ones who were free would come. Thus, there were many young martial warriors. They didn't have much consideration and just spoke their minds. Moreover, this matter was a waste of time and they couldn't earn any money from it. It was understandable that they felt unhappy. Cao Hongtu smirked when he heard the discussions around him. He lost the first round, but he would definitely win this one. Wang Ting had no background. How could he fight with him? Even if he managed to find a 5-member team, he wouldn't possess any threat. Cao Hongtu was a heaven stage martial warrior. Even if his ability was pushed down to the Cosmos stage, he wouldn't have any problems dealing with a few other Cosmos stage martial warriors. After a few minutes, when everyone was getting even more impatient, Wang Ting finally arrived. "I'm sorry I'm late," Wang Ting said helplessly. He was going to leave early in the morning, but someone unexpectedly came to find him and brought news of the Flaming River World, hence why he was late. Of course, he couldn't explain things clearly to the people here. Everyone appeared furious. They wanted to mock him, but the head of the chamber spoke first. "Since everyone is here, let's go." The head and the other members of the chamber were assessors of this test, so they would be heading to the Flaming River World too. Since the head had spoken, the others had nothing to say. They shut their mouths obediently. Cao Hongtu glanced at Wang Ting and saw the 4 figures dressed in grey gowns. He frowned slightly. 4 Cosmos Stage martial warriors? He was puzzled, wondering where Wang Ting found these people. The head glanced at the 4 men in grey too. There was a strange glimmer in his eyes. Then, everyone boarded the rail train and came to the planet's dock. They took a universe spacecraft to the Sirius planet. It was a universe-level spacecraft owned by the Empire's military. It was huge, exceptionally huge. The most important thing was, the material used to build it was tough and sturdy. It was strong enough to withstand a universe-stage martial warrior's attack. One universe-level spacecraft was worth as much as a few hundred QYE-63 spacecraft. The spacecraft departed from the dock. It traveled through space and flew toward the Sirius planet. Everyone sat in their respective seats on the universe-level spacecraft. The nobles knew how to enjoy themselves. They already had delicious wines and spiritual fruits on their tables. Many beauties from various races were attending to them. Such vices! Wang Ting complained in disdain. Then, he touched his chin and wondered if he should get some beautiful ladies on his spacecraft after this trial. They could talk about life and study some psychology together. It would add some fun to his life. He had too much money and nowhere to spend it. "Wang Teng, Cao Hongtu," the head suddenly spoke. "Sir." Wang Teng and Cao Hongtu replied hurriedly. "Before we reach the Sirius planet, let me explain the details of this trial. After you enter the Flaming River world, you'll need to complete 3 missions, the head said slowly. 3 missions. Wang Ting turned serious, paying full attention to the head. The first mission is to find 25,000 kilograms of Flaming River crystals. The one with more Flaming River crystals wins. There was a commotion after the head finished speaking. 25,000 kilograms of Flaming River crystals? That's not easy. The Flaming River crystals are found under the lava stream in the Flaming River world. The lava streams are death zones formed by the owner using the power of origin. Normal Cosmos stage martial warriors won't be able to stay there for more than half an hour. Also, after many years of development, there aren't many flaming river crystals left. It won't be easy to get 25 kilograms. These missions were decided after many discussions with other universe stage martial warriors. Hence, the members of the chamber didn't know about them. Wang Ting was surprised by the noises around him and the deep frown on Cao Hongta's face. The first mission seemed quite hard. Round Ball, do you know what the flaming river crystals are? Wang Ting asked in his mind. It's a special crystal found in the flaming river world. The owner created it accidentally when he merged the origin of flame with other high-class energy stones. It's great for fire element star beasts, Round Ball said. So this crystal is good for Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion. Wang Ting touched his chin and said. That's right. It's useful to your two spiritual pets. Round Ball shook its head and continued, however, you need to get them first. Are they hard to find? Wang Ting asked. Didn't you hear what they said? There are probably only a few flaming river crystals in the stream now, Round Ball said. Wang Ting started contemplating. He didn't ask any more questions. The second mission is to kill 500 fire black toads at the celestial stage or above. 1/10 of them must be at the cosmos stage. Similarly, the more the better, the head explained the second mission. Everyone was shocked once again. Round Ball started to explain before Wang Ting could ask. The fire black toad is a special star beast found in the flaming river world. It's the hardest star beast to deal with. Most of the time, it hides in the flaming rivers. The flaming rivers or streams are one of the 5 most dangerous places in the flaming river world. There are many rivers covering the entire world. This is where the world got its name from. If you want to kill a fire black toad, you need to enter the flaming river. It's rumored that there are some strange flames in the river, so it's an extremely dangerous place. However, besides having a higher temperature, no one has discovered any strange things inside. But many martial warriors died after entering the rivers. No corpses could be found and no one knows the reason. This strange flame can't be a divine flame, right? Wang Ting chuckled. He didn't care. Divine flames weren't common. On the other side, Cao Hongta's expression turned grim. He knew how difficult it was. He was an earth element martial warrior. He didn't have much advantage in the dangerous fire element world. The flaming rivers were known as one of the 5 most dangerous places in the flaming river world. Even he was worried. Wang Ting started to gloat when he saw this scene. The third mission is the hardest. No one has ever completed it, the head continued. The hardest mission? Could it be? Many people realized something and were astounded. Father, is it? Cao's expression changed as he asked. Both he and Cao Jiaojiao were Cosmos stage martial warriors. They were helping their father in this trial. Cao Hongtu furrowed his brows and nodded slowly. He was thinking of the same thing. Wang Ting felt a little confused when he noticed their expressions. No one had ever completed this mission. It should be that mission. Round Ball's serious voice resounded. You know about it? Wang Ting asked in surprise. There are many legacies left by the owner in the flaming river world. That guy is quite a weirdo. He left 53 legacies. 52 of them had been found. Only one is left, Round Ball explained. 53 legacies? Wang Ting was dumbfounded. Then, he understood and said, the last mission is probably to find the remaining legacy, right? Highly likely, Round Ball replied. Your third mission is to find the last legacy, the head revealed the answer. Sir, no one has ever found the last legacy. What if we fail? Cao Hongtu asked involuntarily. That's right, this mission is quite impossible. In the past, many formidable warriors entered the flaming river world, but no one has ever found it. Maybe, the other people agreed. All of them felt that the third mission was impossible. The head wasn't in a hurry. He waited silently for them to finish before replying in a commanding tone, you must complete this mission. If you succeed in the first 2 missions but fail in the last, you can only inherit the Baron's title after accumulating enough military exploits. What? Everyone gasped in shock. This request was a little unexpected. "Sir, if I complete the first 2 missions, can I inherit the Baron's title immediately? After all, I've accumulated many military exploits." Cao Hongtu hesitated before asking. "Those military exploits allowed you to have the chance to participate in this trial. If you want to win, you need to continue accumulating merits," the head replied. "One I understand." Cao Hongtu was frustrated. "Fut!" Wang Ting almost burst out laughing. He glanced at Cao Hongtu and noticed that his face was a little black. But this wasn't a good thing for him either. He must complete the 3rd mission if he wanted to inherit the Baron's title immediately. Accumulating merits wasn't easy. Mind you, Cao Hongtu spent countless years before he earned enough of them. Yet he still couldn't get the title. If he had to restart the accumulation, who knew how long he would take? Chapter 1006, Sirius Planet, Fire Tung Tree. 5 days later, a blue-white planet appeared in everyone's vision. The universe-level spacecraft traveled at a fast speed. This journey was meant to take 8 days, but they reached their destination in 5. The Sirius planet was a life planet at the northwest boundary of the Great Qian Empire. It wasn't as big as the Great Qian planet, but it was much bigger than Earth. This life planet was magical. Many formidable warriors were born here, and all of them had achieved numerous military exploits. They were prominent figures of their generation. The boundaries of the empire were the front line of resisting dark apparitions. This was where worse battles were held. Anyone who managed to survive the front line wouldn't be ordinary. The owner of Flaming River World was one of them. The universe-level spacecraft landed and parked on the dock of the Sirius planet. Wang Ting alighted with the head of the chamber. Cars came to fetch them. Sitting in the flying car, Wang Ting admired the scenery on the planet. They passed through the busy streets and came to the outskirts of the city. They entered the wilderness. The Flaming River World wasn't in the city. The Rune Energy flying car traveled for more than an hour before coming to a stop. A huge valley had appeared before everyone with buildings erected in the middle. It was a prosperous site. This should be where the descendants of the owner of the Flaming River World live. Round Ball's voice appeared in Wang Ting's mind. The flying car stopped in the valley. Someone came to welcome them immediately. The person was a middle-aged Heaven-stage martial warrior who had long fiery red hair. He smiled and said, "The Qi family prepared for a long time after learning about your arrival. It's our honor." The head nodded at him. "Sir, this way please." Qi Tiancheng bowed respectfully before leading the way in front. "There's no need to trouble you. Please bring us directly to the Flaming River World," the head said. "All right, please follow me." Qi Tiancheng nodded. He didn't force them. They went deep into the valley under his lead. This place was secluded and heavily guarded. It was the forbidden ground of the Qi family, a place other people couldn't enter. Suddenly, a towering fiery red tree entered everyone's vision. It shot right into the sky. The tree was enormous. If 10 people linked their hands and went around it, they might not be able to circle it. This was how huge the trunk was. The branches were filled with fiery red leaves like flames burning in the air. It looked holy and divine. A thick fire force floated around the giant tree, with no other plants around it. Roots as thick as giant pythons bulged out of the ground. They seemed exceptionally rough and gigantic. This tree. Wang Teng was dumbstruck. "We're here." Qi Tiancheng stopped and pointed to the giant tree in front. "The entrance of the Flaming River World is in the tree hole." "The Flaming River World is in a tree?" Wang Teng was flabbergasted. His face was filled with disbelief. "Why are you making a fuss? A small world can exist anywhere. It can be as big as a planet or as small as a speck of sand. Some martial warriors at the peak of the universe stage are able to instill a small world the size of a life planet within a speck of dust. It's nothing strange that this one is in a tree," Round Ball said with contempt. "A speck of dust." Wang Ting didn't mind Round Ball's sarcastic tone. Or rather, he didn't have the time to care about it. He was in awe when he heard what it said. A universe-equals-stage martial warrior could create a small world in a speck of dust. How frightening was that? This skill was mysterious and heaven-defying. No wonder the Parker's family didn't dare to offend a universe-stage martial warrior. A universe-stage martial warrior was indeed extremely powerful. They mustn't be underestimated. Some other people were also hearing this for the first time, so they were bewildered too. They found it hard to believe. Qi Tiancheng smiled proudly when he saw their expressions. My ancestor ascended to heaven below this fire tung tree. Before he left, he cultivated here for 10 days and 10 nights and finally managed to seal the small world into this fire tung tree using his exceptional ability and skill. The Flaming River martial warrior is a person of exceptional talent. I wish he could overcome the barrier and enter a higher realm. The head sighed and shook his head. Qi Tiancheng appeared saddened too. The death of a universe-stage martial warrior was a great loss to their family. Unfortunately, it was extremely difficult for a universe-stage martial warrior to break through to the eternal stage. Despite investing all their resources and wealth, they were unable to help him to advance. Everyone, the Flaming River world is on the verge of collapsing. We need to strictly control the number of people entering this world, and their ability must not be greater than the cosmos stage. If not, the implications are unimaginable. Qi Tiancheng gathered his composure and said. The head nodded. He looked at Wang Teng and Cao Hongtu. Are you all ready? Sir, I'm ready, Cao Hongtu said in a low voice. No problems on my side either, Wang Teng replied. All right, go ahead. The head waved his hand and said to Qi Tiancheng, Mr. Qi, please open the Flaming River world. Yes. Qi Tiancheng answered and walked forward. A fiery red token appeared in his hand. He waved it in front of the tree. A red beam of light flew out from the token and slammed into the tree hole. Boom! Everyone heard a loud explosion within the tree hole. Then, a beam of glaring red light pierced out, along with heat waves. You will only have 15 days. If you don't come out by then, you might disappear along with the Flaming River world, Qi Tiancheng said seriously. Thank you for your reminder. Cao Hongtu cupped his fists. Thank you. Wang Teng also did the same. There's no one else inside the Flaming River world. The star beasts seem to know that the world is about to disappear, so they're extremely restless and irascible. There might be a riot at any time, Qi Tiancheng added. It looks like the difficulty has increased again. Wang Ting gave a bitter smile in his heart. I've said everything I should. This is the token. Follow the signs given by the token when returning. Please. With a wave of his hand, 2 beams of red light shot toward Wang Teng and Cao Hongtu. They took the token and studied it before putting it in their pocket. Then, they turned to look at the head of the chamber. With his nod, they walked out with their teams. There were 5 people on both sides. Besides Cao Jiaojiao and Cao Wu, the other 2 members were Cosmos Stage martial warriors too. One of them was wrapped in a black gown, so no one knew his identity. Wang Teng's team was simpler. He stood in front and the 4 people behind him were all covered with grey gowns. Nothing could be seen. Qi Tiancheng wanted to laugh when he saw their attire. Cao Hongtu brought his team forward. At first, his aura was that of a heaven stage martial warrior, but with each step he took, his aura dwindled. It went from the 2nd level heaven stage to the 1st level heaven stage. Finally, it reached the 9th level cosmos stage and stayed there. By now, he had reached the tree hole and stepped in without any hesitation. With a flash of red light, he vanished. The other members of the team followed closely and disappeared in front of everyone. Wang Teng blinked. He led his team toward the tree hole without any hesitation. As An Lan walked toward the tree hole, his aura started to change too. It tumbled from the peak of the heaven stage to the 9th level cosmos stage. Wang Teng and his team held each other's hand and stepped into the tree hole. Was that the aura of a heaven stage martial warrior? They weren't surprised when Cao Hongtu revealed his heaven stage ability. After all, everyone knew about it. However, they were astounded by An Lan. That quiet man in a grey gown was also a heaven stage martial warrior. Gasp. This is getting interesting. Cao Hongtu would never expect Wang Ting to have a heaven stage martial warrior hiding behind him. How did he do it? How is a planetary stage martial warrior like him able to get the help of a heaven stage martial warrior? Everyone let out a long sigh as they recovered from their astonishment. They started discussing with strange expressions on their faces. Valteru from the Parker's family pulled a long face. He stared at the tree hole coldly. He wished he could rush in, but it was too late. The entrance had disappeared. No one could enter now. Even if he wanted to, the head of the chamber wouldn't agree. Qi Tiancheng was flabbergasted. He didn't think that there would be a heaven stage martial warrior on both sides. What was going on? Wasn't this a simple trial? Why were there heaven stage martial warriors participating? No matter how magical this flaming river world was, it has limited benefits for a heaven stage martial warrior. Why did they go in? Wait, could it be for the last legacy? Qi Tiancheng's gaze turned sharp. However, he knew he shouldn't ask. This trial was a combined decision made by the universe stage martial warriors of the Empire. Even if their Qi family had some power, they couldn't stop it. They could only cooperate with them. Besides, the Qi family was declining. No universe stage martial warrior had appeared in this generation. If this continued, their future would be dire. Sigh, why didn't our ancestor leave the legacy for us directly? Our Qi family wouldn't be in this state if he did. Qi Tiancheng shook his head and lamented in his heart. The world started spinning. A moment ago, they were still in the Qi residence. In the blink of an eye, they saw streams of lava merging to form rivers. Wang Teng and his team were in midair. Out of the blue, they fell into the lava. They didn't have much time to react. Plonk, plonk. Wang Teng's expression changed. He immediately covered his body with the emerald-glazed flame to isolate the high heat. Then, he dashed out of the lava stream. Boom, boom, boom. All 5 of them jumped out of the lava and landed on the banks. Lan and Wang Teng were unscathed. However, steam could be seen rising from the bodies of the other 3 mechas. The grey gowns on them were burned, revealing their mecha bodies below. There were red patches on their skin like metals melting at high heat. Chapter 1007, My Dear, Don't Run. 5 of them rushed out of the lava stream and stood at the banks. There were still waves of heat coming from all around them, and the ground was extremely hot. A planetary stage martial warrior wouldn't be able to even stand. Is everyone all right? Wang Teng asked as he looked at Lan and the others. I'm fine. Lan shook his head and then asked the other 3 Cosmos stage mechas, Feng, Jian, and Dong. What about you guys? It's nothing. It's just a little hot. If we didn't react fast enough, we would be in trouble, a mecha race martial warrior answered. This lava stream is the real thing. Even our bodies wouldn't be able to bear it, another mecha race martial warrior said. Be careful. If you turn into a pool of molten iron, you'll have to spend money to reforge your bodies. It's troublesome, Lan cautioned. Silence. Wang Ting had a strange feeling when he heard that. It didn't matter if a mecha's body was destroyed. You could just have it changed with money. This feels so good. He was a little envious. Understood, boss. Feng rubbed his mechanical head. Clang. Lan angrily smacked Feng's head, making a loud noise. He then lambasted, Stop calling me boss. It makes us look like a band of bandits. Oh. Feng nodded hurriedly like he was his punching bag. The other mecha race martial warriors tucked in their heads like they were traumatized by Lan. Wang Ting peeked at Lan. He felt that the mechas really looked like bandits. Maybe they were. This reminded him of Jin Yuan and Haddock who he met back on Earth. Both sides did things the same way and were as slippery as an eel. Unfortunately, they ran away when he was entering the remains left by Nangong Yu. Hey, there are attribute bubbles here, Wang Ting uttered softly. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. Not far away, a few attribute bubbles emerged from the lava stream. Collect. Constellation Force, Fire, *20 Constellation Force, Fire, *30 Constellation Force, Fire, *5. There were a total of 55 points of the Constellation Fire Force. Although it wasn't much, Wang Teng was anticipating more. Does this flaming river world generate attribute bubbles from time to time? If so, he had struck gold. Where are we going now? And Lan looked around. Wang Teng retracted his gaze and switched on his wristwatch. A map appeared. It was given by someone before he left. And the person who gave this to him was Di Chi. He didn't know if Di Chi had entered the Flaming River world previously or obtained this information from others. Anyway, he helped Wang Teng a lot. Otherwise, he would be searching aimlessly in the Flaming River world and would waste more time. They only had 15 days. Go this way. Wang Teng pointed in a direction. Let's go to the lava swamp first. It shouldn't be too far. Yes. And Lan naturally followed Wang Teng's decisions. Let's go. The 5 of them set off after choosing the direction. They looked around and scouted the area as they flew. This was the only chance where they had the time to look at the peculiar environment of the Flaming River world. It was very different from the outside world. There were 3 huge fireballs hanging in the sky that looked like suns. The whole sky was illuminated with fiery red color. The ground was also covered with reddish-brown soil. Lava streams intersected each other and were spread all over the land, exuding bursts of steam. In such an environment, ordinary creatures and plants wouldn't be able to exist. However, there were still strange species that relied on the fire force to survive. They were the natives of this world. So many attribute bubbles. Wang Teng's eyes lit up. Along the way, he realized that the surroundings were littered with red attribute bubbles. This was especially so near the lava streams, where there were even more bubbles. They appeared from the lava every now and then. He immediately sent forth his spiritual power and picked them up. Constellation Force, Fire, *10 Constellation Force, Fire, *8 Constellation Force, Fire, *15 Fire Force attribute bubbles gathered toward Wang Teng. Although they didn't have high value, there was a vast number of them. With so many of them, he obtained thousands of attributes in just a short while. The constellation fire force circulated in his body and merged inside his sea of nihility. Looks like this time, I can probably advance to the celestial realm. Wang Ting felt the change in his constellation fire force. After flying for half an hour, they gradually closed in onto the lava swamp. The lava streams started converging, looking like they were flowing out from the swamp. Likewise, there were many attribute bubbles. Wang Ting was overjoyed. Pest! Suddenly, a tongue of flame shot out from the lava stream and headed toward one of the mechas. Everyone's expression changed slightly. The flame was too fast. Before a mecha martial warrior could react, his leg was entangled. He then felt a huge force pulling him toward the lava stream below. However, they were still Cosmos Stage martial warriors after all. When faced with a sudden change, they didn't panic. The mecha's arms wriggled and turned into a sword. He then condensed his force, creating a sword glow. "You're looking for death," the mecha roared and slashed at the tongue of flame. The sword glow struck the flame and cut it apart. Croak! A strange cry came from the lava stream below. Everyone only saw a black shadow flashing before it disappeared. They could no longer find a trace of it. "It's the fire black toads. Be careful." Wang Teng and An Lan shouted simultaneously as they stared at the lava steam vigilantly. No one expected that they would encounter fire black toads here. Fire black toads were one of their missions. However, only the Flaming River had the most number of fire black toads. The lava streams would only have 1 or 2 occasionally. They were lucky to find one here. This fire black toad is a sly one. If you don't take it out with a single blow, it will just hide, An Lan said. Since we encountered one, we can't give it up so easily. A smile appeared on Wang Teng's face. No matter what, it was still better than nothing. No matter how cunning this fire black toad was, it couldn't have escaped from him. The lava hinders our spirit. If the fire black toad continues hiding, it will be difficult for us to find it. An Lan frowned. That might not be true. Wang Teng snickered. In an instant, emerald-glazed flame surged out from his body and rushed into the lava stream like chains of fire. Hiss, hiss, hiss. They made a sizzling sound when they touched the lava, remaining unscathed. The emerald chains swam fast in the lava stream like flaming pythons. Wang Ting used his spiritual power and sensed the situation under the lava. Found it. After a while, his eyes lit up. He then controlled the chains to go toward a place in the lava stream. Croak. The strange sound came again, and it was even louder this time, like it was in a panic. Boom. With a loud bang, the lava exploded and splashed everywhere. A huge black shadow rushed out from the lava stream. It was a red toad with a back full of bumps. The fire-black toad leaped out of the stream in a bid to escape in the other direction. However, several chains shot out and chased it. "You're still running." Wang Ting was calm. The emerald-glazed flame turned into a large net and covered every direction. Croak. The fire-black toad didn't expect to be ambushed and slammed its head into the net formed by the emerald-glazed flame. Croak. It struggled frantically, and the bumps on its back burst. Blobs of lava emerged and blew several small holes in the net formed by the emerald-glazed flame. It swung its claws and ripped the net apart, trying to grab the opportunity to escape. "My dear, don't run," Wang Ting yelled, and a dark ice spear appeared in his hand. Chapter 1008. Why do I need this fire tongue? Nether frost. This was the special ice he found on the netherworld giant python. It was able to curb fire element star beasts. It was just the right item to deal with the fire black toad. Swoosh. With a wave of his hand, the long spear shot out. It turned into a beam of black light and hurled down at the fire black toad. Sensing danger, the fire black toad started struggling frantically in the big net. It managed to free half of its body, but it was too late. The long spear made from nether frost arrived above the fire black toad in an instant. Then, it stabbed into its body. Splurt. A red flower blossomed, its beauty amplified by a cry of sorrow. Croak. The fire black toad's huge body flew out under the impact of the long spear. There was a loud bang. It was pinned on the ground some distance away. However, it was still alive. It continued struggling, stomping the ground with its limbs in an attempt to pull out the long spear. Swoosh. A chill exuded out of the long spear and spread through the body of the fire black toad. All its force and blood were frozen. At the same time, a layer of black ice appeared on its surface. The fire black toad stopped struggling. Its body stiffened, and it froze on the spot. No signs of life could be detected anymore. This ice, and Lan squinted. He was astounded when he saw nether frost. He landed in front of the fire black toad and touched the ice. A chill entered deep into his bones, along with a layer of frost on his mecha body. "What a powerful frost," another mecha martial warrior exclaimed. "Wang Ting, I didn't know that you're an ice element martial warrior too. This isn't normal frost, right?" And Lan looked at Wang Ting intently as he probed. "It's nothing special." Wang Ting waved his hand nonchalantly as he walked over and sized up the fire black toad. And Lan had nothing to say. A normal person like him couldn't converse with this young man who loved to put on an act. This fire black toad is probably at the 5th level of the celestial stage, and Lan took a deep breath and said. Wang Ting nodded and picked up the attribute bubbles dropped by the fire black toad. Constellation Force, Fire, asterisk 3500 Fire Tongue asterisk 1 blank attribute asterisk 4500 Her? What can I use this fire tongue for? Wang Ting gave a contemptuous look. This was a special technique, but he couldn't use his tongue as a weapon like the fire black toad, right? It felt exciting just thinking about it. Cough, it felt disgusting. Too, however, after picking it up, he realized that this wasn't the case. He could form a tongue using flames. It would be agile and great for sneak attacks. Besides this special skill, he also gained 3,500 points of Constellation Fire Force and 45,000 blank attributes. It was a sizable sum. Wang Ting kept the corpse of the fire black toad in his space ring. He had finished 1/500 of the second mission. Let's go. Everyone continued their journey towards the lava swamp. Another 10 minutes passed quickly. The group finally reached their destination. A vast and boundless swamp appeared in front of them. This swamp was different from usual. It was made of lava, and it was scorching. The lava was rumbling loudly. Bubbles formed on the surface and burst after some time. Steaming hot lava splashed everywhere. Wang Ting saw numerous attribute bubbles at one glance. Collect. Constellation Force, Fire, *30 Constellation Force, Fire, *25 Constellation Force, Fire, *35. Within a few seconds, Wang Ting collected more than 2,000 points of Constellation Fire Force. We're finally here. And Lan glanced around him in awe. I heard that this swarm is always expanding. I wonder if it's true. I think so. Look at the rocks around it. They are melting slowly. Wang Ting finished picking up the attribute bubbles and looked below him. He squatted down and tapped a piece of rock lightly. It broke immediately and fell into the lava. A mecha martial warrior placed his finger into the lava. When he took it out, his finger had melted. Ouch, it hurts. The mecha commented without any expressions on his face. Clang. And Lan slapped the martial warrior's head and scolded, "Don't be stupid. You shouldn't waste your energy like this." Yes. A blue glow appeared in the mecha martial warrior's eyes. His finger started growing back like liquid. Is there something wrong with their brains? Wang Ting asked Lan through voice transmission. Don't worry, ordering them around won't be a problem. Lan smiled apologetically and patted his chest. I hope so. Wang Ting glanced at him helplessly. Then, he twirled his eyeballs and released the metal armor flaming scorpion and Little White from the space fragment. After absorbing the constellation elixirs, they had gone into hibernation and woke up a few days ago. Both of them had advanced to the Emperor level. They possessed the same power as a planetary stage human martial warrior. The metal armor flaming scorpion was at the 3rd level Emperor level while Little White was at the 5th level Emperor level. It had surpassed the metal armor flaming scorpion. The metal armor flaming scorpion felt frustrated because of this. At first, it was more powerful than Little White. Yet, it was lagging behind now. The metal armor flaming scorpion cursed Wang Ting for being biased numerous times. He must have given Little White a lot of good stuff. If not, how could Little White surpass it? However, Master, what do you need from me? The metal armor flaming scorpion crawled toward Wang Ting obediently when it realized that it was in a place filled with fire force. It tried to curry favor with Wang Ting. Little White still couldn't speak, so it cawed and landed in front of Wang Ting, rubbing its head on his palm. This is a small world known as the Flaming River World. This lava swamp is a dangerous place. There are flaming river crystals beneath it. I want you to go down and search for this crystal with me, Wang Ting replied. Go down. The metal armor flaming scorpion placed its scorpion tail in the lava and exclaimed, the constellation fire force inside is very thick. It's dangerous, but it'll be of great help to our cultivation. This is a good opportunity. Take the chance to upgrade yourselves, Wang Ting said earnestly. He didn't feel that he had found too hard laborious for himself. Don't worry, Master. Well, work hard, the metal armor flaming scorpion said firmly. All right, you'll work together with Little White. Don't stay too far from me. If there's any danger, I might not be able to rush over in time, Wang Ting said. These are your spiritual pets. And Lan walked over and asked in surprise. That's right. Ask An Feng, An Dong, and An Jian to team up with them, Wang Ting nodded and said after some contemplation. Okay. And Lan had no objections. He turned and spoke to the 3 other mecha martial warriors. After some time, he said to Wang Ting, the temperature below is very high. We won't be able to stay below for too long and will need to return to the surface soon. This is a waste of time. Wang Ting pondered and took out 3 battle armors. He took these from the alien candidates in the past. They were all mass-produced items. They had no owners now, so anyone could wear them. Wear these battle armors, Wang Ting said. And Lan and the others were confused, but they still wore the battle armor. A plus point of these mass-produced battle armors was that they could change according to the size and height of the wearer. Thus, when they wore them, they fitted them perfectly. Wang Ting went forward and gathered nether frost on his palm. A layer of frost covered the armors. And Lan's eyes lit up. He finally understood Wang Ting's plan. "How do you feel?" Wang Ting asked. "Ha ha ha, this is a good idea. The frost will have little effect on us because of the battle armor," and Lan smiled and replied. "That's good. Wear this to enter the swamp and you can stay below for a longer time. When you feel uncomfortable, come to me and I'll cover you with frost again." "Yes." And Lan nodded. Wang Ting organized his team and continued on their quest. "Let's go." The instant he said this, everyone leaped into the lava swamp. Plonk, plonk, plonk. Lava splattered into the air, submerging Wang Ting and his team. They controlled their bodies as they went down. Chapter 1009, In and Out Lava Swamp. Only lava could be seen here. Steam rose into the air, and the lava bubbled happily. Even the air seemed to have turned distorted from the heat. There were no living creatures here. The place was barren and empty. This environment wasn't suitable for living either. Wang Ting wondered why the owner of this small world created it. Shouldn't he create a utopia with an abundance of lives and a comfortable environment? Mind you, the creator could enter this small world too. Many universe-stage martial warriors would build extravagant sculptures in their small world and plant all sorts of special flowers and fruits. They would then buy some beauties and put them in the small world to serve them. They had an amazing time inside. But the Flaming River world wasn't a place to relax and enjoy. It was torture to be in this environment. Wang Ting didn't understand why the creator of the Flaming River world made this small world for himself. It made no sense at all. Could it be that this creator wanted to lead an austere life? Wang Ting complained silently in his heart as he sank down the lava and opened a path so that they could travel within. What comforted him was that there were more attribute bubbles below the swamp compared to the surface. Bubbles were scattered all over the bottom, looking conspicuous in his eyes. Collect. Constellation Force, Fire, *50 Constellation Force, Fire, *40 Constellation Force, Fire, *60. As more and more Constellation Fire Force entered his pocket, a smile crept up Wang Ting's face uncontrollably. The environment in the swamp was special, so Wang Ting didn't put down his guard even though his team wasn't weak. He remained vigilant. His team members were wearing armors covered with nether frost, so they could temporarily resist the lava. However, they would still melt in the high temperature. They wouldn't be able to stay here for long. Fortunately, nether frost was special. Other normal frost or ice wouldn't be able to resist the high temperature in this place. As for Wang Ting, he was different. He covered his body with the emerald glazed flame, rendering the lava useless. He could travel freely in the swamp. And Lan looked at him with envy. This was how powerful a divine flame was. Wang Ting wasn't afraid of any normal fire. "Split up but don't go too far," Wang Ting spoke to his team using voice transmission. Everyone separated according to the plan. The 5 martial warriors and the 2 spiritual pets split into 2 small groups. Wang Ting and An Lan were one group. Little White, the metal armor flaming scorpion, and the other 3 mecha martial warriors formed another group. Wang Ting used the emerald glazed flame as a medium and hid his spiritual power in it. He then created many tentacles and stretched them into the lava. He checked his surroundings as he moved forward. "Let's go this way." His eyes lit up suddenly because he sensed something. He changed direction and moved to his left. "You found something?" And Lan chased after him hurriedly and asked through voice transmission. "I sense a thicker constellation fire force there. It might be the Flaming River crystals," Wang Ting said. And Lan nodded, not probing further. He knew that Wang Ting was more sensitive in this environment, so he listened to him. He didn't feel any unwillingness. Wang Ting was a triple field grandmaster with powerful spiritual power. Even as a Cosmos Stage Divine Spirit Master, he didn't dare to say that he was more powerful than Wang Ting. And Lan was a Heaven Stage Martial Warrior and a Cosmos Stage Divine Spirit Master. The combination of these two was extremely powerful. After some time, Wang Ting saw more attribute bubbles in front of him. His eyes shone brightly. "Looks like this lava swamp is my lucky ground," Wang Ting muttered in his heart. He released his spiritual power and picked up the attribute bubbles. Constellation force, fire, *80 constellation force, fire, *50 constellation force, fire, *100. These attribute bubbles have a higher value than the ones above. Looks like this is the right place. There must be flaming river crystals here. Wang Ting stopped in his tracks and signaled to Lan. Then, he focused his gaze below. Found it. The fire force here is thicker. Wang Ting pointed below. Below the ground? Leave it to me. Lan chuckled. He waved his hand, and a beam of light shot out of his body. Boom. It penetrated right into the ground below. The rock layer at the bottom of the swamp was extremely special. It was able to withstand extremely high temperatures and was tougher and harder than normal rocks. Yet the destructive power of the beam of light made short work of it. A cut was instantly made in the bottom layer. A dense red glow penetrated from the crack. Lan had a strong grasp of his power. The instant he cut through the bottom layer and noticed the red glow, he stopped. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Wang Ting finally saw the real identity of the beam of light. This was a cone-shaped spiritual weapon. It was spinning madly under Lan's control and penetrating the hard layer of rock bottom. This is 1,000 armaments vessel. Wang Ting was shocked. Ha ha ha, you're right. I didn't think you'd recognize it with one look. Lan laughed. With a wave of his hand, the spiritual weapon started dismantling into various parts. It combined again to form the familiar black box Wang Ting knew. Good riddance, I knew that the 1,000 armaments vessel had many combinations when I made it. Indeed, after seeing this form, this is an amazing weapon, Wang Ting exclaimed. The blueprint Lan gave him didn't consist of all the combinations. This might be the trump card Lan kept for himself. The blacksmith might know the theory of how to make the 1,000 armaments vessel, but without the combinations, its power would be heavily discounted. Wang Ting knew that some made-to-order spiritual weapons were exclusive. There was no counterfeit. It wasn't like those mass-produced weapons. They were of a certain grade, but they weren't unique. They couldn't be compared to these special weapons. This 1,000 armaments vessel was a spiritual weapon designed by the mecha race. Besides them, Wang Ting was probably the only one who touched it. Lan knew what Wang Ting was thinking. Since he took it out here, he didn't plan to hide it from him. He pointed at the bottom of the swamp. Let's take a look. Wang Ting nodded, sinking further down. He arrived at the spot where the red light came from. A patch of fiery red crystals could be seen below the rock layer. The scene was dazzling to the eye. These are the flaming river crystals. Round Ball's voice appeared in Wang Ting's mind. It sounded a little excited. You're so lucky. You found them so quickly. Haha, I have the emerald glazed flame, so places filled with fire elements are a piece of cake for me. Wang Ting chuckled. He was in a good mood. Let's start digging. He called Lan over, and the duo started digging. Be careful, don't damage them too much or the fire energy inside will be destroyed, Round Ball reminded him. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Wang Ting acted carefully. He was a divine spirit master, so he could use his spiritual power to control his weapons. There wouldn't be too much deviation. Lan didn't need any warning either. He was a Cosmos Stage divine spirit master. He was more powerful than Wang Ting, a Celestial Stage divine spirit master. His level of control was higher than Wang Ting's. The flaming river crystals here weren't all gathered in one location. They were scattered around, increasing the difficulty of their excavation. However, with their cooperation, they progressed rather quickly. They managed to dig out a few thousand kilograms of flaming river crystals in the blink of an eye. Wang Ting kept them. These flaming river crystals are indeed special. I can tell that they're beneficial to fire element martial warriors and star beasts. Wang Ting smiled and said, You're a fire element martial warrior. If you use them to cultivate, you'll be able to rise to the celestial stage very soon. Lan looked at him and said. Wang Ting smiled. He would be able to advance to the celestial stage without the flaming river crystals. There were many attribute bubbles in the flaming river world. Not only could he advance to the celestial stage, but he would also be able to raise his ability greatly. And Lan didn't know what he was thinking. He thought that Wang Ting was extremely confident in himself and disdained using the flaming river crystals. Relying on oneself for a breakthrough was better than relying on external forces. Based on their senses, there were at least a few more kilograms of flaming river crystals deep below. They were deeper, so the digging process was harder. Just when Wang Ting was about to dig up the rest of the flaming river crystals so that they could move to the next location, a beam of red light shot out from the hole among the rocks and attempted to bite Wang Ting's wrist. "Be careful," and Lan reminded him in a low voice. Wang Ting reacted swiftly. He formed a layer of nether frost on his finger and pointed at the beam of red light. An astonishing scene appeared. The beam of red light was as fast as lightning. It shrank back instantly and disappeared without a trace. Wang Ting's finger froze in midair. He didn't know what to do. What was he supposed to point at when he didn't have a target? He exchanged glances with Lan and felt speechless. "Did you see what that was?" I didn't," Lan said helplessly. Swoosh. At that moment, the beam of red light appeared again. It seemed to know that Wang Ting was hard to deal with, so it dashed towards Lan. Lan blinked. He raised his hand, and force gathered on it. He prepared to give it a heavy blow. The beam of red light didn't think that Lan's reaction would be so fast as well. It shrank back again. It seemed extremely timid. Lan's finger paused in midair. The corners of his lips twitched. The two martial warriors stared at one another. They could tell that this beam of red light was powerful, but it was amazingly fast. It was a little timid too. It came out and shrank back. Was it playing with them? "I think I saw it this time. I think it's a red earthworm," Wang Ting said uncertainly. "Earthworm?" Lan frowned. "Maybe it's a flaming crystal red phosphorus worm," Roundball said. "Flaming crystal red phosphorus worm?" Wang Ting quickly asked in his mind. "Do you know what it is?" Chapter 10:10 Making everyone crave for it. This is a mutated beast that lives on flaming river crystals. It's originally called the red phosphorus worm. After they were released here by the Flaming River World's owner, they started feeding on flaming river crystals and mutated. Roundball thought for a moment and started explaining. This flaming crystal red phosphorus worm has great nutritional value because of all the flaming river crystals that it devours all year round. It's delicious when you fry it till it's golden brown. "Are you craving it?" Wang Ting asked softly. Roundball. To hell with craving. What was going on with his mind? Roundball took a deep breath and said, "The important thing is that flaming crystal red phosphorus worms fear death. They do not allow others to steal flaming river crystals as the crystals are the food they rely on for survival. However, they do not dare to face enemies either, which is why they use a harassment tactic to get their enemies to retreat. The flaming crystal red phosphorus worm is rather strange." Wang Ting was speechless. Although it's disgusting, it is still a good tactic. Every creature has its own survival instincts. If the flaming crystal red phosphorus worms weren't this elusive, they would have been wiped out long ago, Roundball said. Wang Ting passed down Roundball's words, shocking Lan. Although he was knowledgeable, he had never seen such a strange beast before. The two looked down and saw the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm darting in and out of the hole. Every time its head appeared, it would quickly retract again as if it would attack them at any time. However, it annoyed Wang Ting and Lan with its behavior. The flaming crystal red phosphorus worm is only at the planetary stage. It is not that difficult to deal with, Lan said. "Leave it to me." Wang Ting shook his head. Not wishing to waste time here, he turned his emerald-glazed flame into a fire tongue and sent it downward. The skill that he just acquired was not expected to be used so soon. Destiny likes to fool people. The flaming crystal red phosphorus worm sensed something amiss and immediately dug underground. The fire tongue was in hot pursuit and rushed into the hole. Shrill. A panicked cry resounded from the hole. The fire tongue began to shake violently as if something was struggling fiercely. The fire tongue was known for being quick and nimble, and it wasn't less elusive compared to the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm. Soon, the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm was wrapped by the fire tongue and brought out of the hole. The flaming crystal red phosphorus worm was struggling frantically. It was only a meter long, which was considered relatively small as compared to other star beasts. Its attack power wasn't that great. Its body glowed with a red light repeatedly as it tried to break free from the fire tongue. However, no matter how much it struggled, it was all for nothing. The ordinary flame that it was using could never be compared with the emerald-glazed flame. You still want to run? Wang Ting pointed at the worm's body. Nether frost spread around and froze it. Nether frost was undoubtedly the most effective way to deal with fire element star beasts. He finally had the opportunity to study the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm. The 1-meter-long body was crimson red and somewhat transparent, like it was made of flaming crystals. There were 2 small eyes on its head, which looked a bit silly and not so disgusting. After the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm was frozen, it lost its vitality and a few attribute bubbles dropped. Constellation Force, Fire, *600 Origin of Flame *2 blank Attribute *1200 Origin of Flame. Wang Teng's eyes narrowed as if he had seen something unbelievable. The origin of flame was a power of origin that only a universe stage martial warrior could possess, yet it came out from this small worm. This didn't make sense. A universe stage martial warrior could cultivate the power of origin and use it as the foundation of a small world. The small world would then undergo an evolution. The flaming river crystals were formed by the origin of flame, showing how extraordinary they were. The trace of origin of flame merged into Wang Ting's body and circulated around his limbs and bones. It gradually merged into the fire constellation in his mind and fell silent. Huff! Wang Ting let out a deep breath, and his gaze flickered. He obtained a power of origin that could only be cultivated by universe stage martial warriors just like that. Although it was only a trace amount, it was still a power of origin and shouldn't be underestimated. Wang Teng then kept the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm in his space ring and said to Enlan, "Continue digging." Enlan nodded and worked together with Wang Teng. He didn't forget to ask a question: "Why does your skill look a bit like the tongue of a fire black toad? Does it? I think you saw it wrong." Wang Ting's heart skipped a beat. He responded without a change in his expression. "Is that so?" Enlan didn't dwell on it and concentrated on mining the flaming river crystals. 10 minutes later, all the flaming river crystals in the area were dug out, which added up to about 2,000 kilograms. It was quite a harvest. Wang Ting sensed his surroundings again and called Enlan to leave after he had confirmed that there were no more flaming river crystals. "Let's go." Afterward, they found a few scattered pieces of flaming river crystals. The quantity paled in comparison to their first haul though, adding up to less than 1,000 kilograms. Nether frost covering Enlan's battle armor was mostly melted. Wang Teng quickly added another layer for him. Little White's team also returned to Wang Teng, and he replenished nether frost for the other mechas as well. "Master, we managed to find more than 4,000 kilograms of flaming river crystals." The metal armor flaming scorpion ran over and asked for credit. "Oh!" Wang Teng was a little surprised. "You found more than 4,000 kilograms? "Yes, it's all in the space ring. Look." The metal armor flaming scorpion spat out a space ring. The space ring was normally placed in its mouth. Wang Ting rolled his eyes in disgust. He wouldn't hold it with his hands and brought it over using spiritual power. Looking inside, he saw a small pile of flaming river crystals. "Good job." Wang Ting was satisfied and patted the metal armor flaming scorpion's armored shell. After advancing to the Emperor level, its body became larger, and the outer shell was extremely hard. It made a dull sound when he patted it. Little White wasn't satisfied and cawed at the side. Although Little White was a bird star beast, it had the fire element as well. And its ghost fire became stronger when it absorbed the emerald-glazed flame. It allowed it to fly freely and go under the lava swamp. "Ha ha ha. That's right. It's also your hard work." Wang Ting sensed the satisfaction that Little White conveyed through the spiritual pet contract and laughed while patting its head. "Wang Ting, your spiritual pets are good. They found more crystals than us." Enlan was surprised. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion raised their heads like peacocks. They knew that the chunk of mechanical parts in front of them was extremely powerful and were overjoyed to be praised by him. And Lan didn't know that he was just a powerful mechanical hunk in their eyes. Otherwise, he would probably die of anger. A heaven stage martial warrior was regarded as a chunk of mechanical parts. He couldn't bear this. They are fire element star beasts and have mutated. They are very sensitive to the fire element. It's not surprising that they can find so many flaming river crystals. Wang Teng smiled. Mutant star beasts are rare, and you have 2 of them. You're lucky. And Lan shook his head in envy. Calm down. You'll get used to it after envying me a few more times, Wang Teng said calmly. And Lan, I don't want to get used to it. We have less than 10,000 kilograms, which is far from the required number. We have to work harder. Keep going, everyone, Wang Teng waved his hand and said. Everyone stopped chatting and scattered to find more again. Time passed slowly. After an hour, Wang Teng and the others found 8,000 kilograms of flaming river crystals. He also encountered a few flaming crystal red phosphorus worms. He caught them all and tossed them in his space ring. Wang Teng planned to fry them and see if he could really make everyone crave this delicacy. He was a grandmaster chef. It was a normal thing for him to try all kinds of strange food. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion also captured flaming crystal red phosphorus worms under Wang Teng's instructions. The 2 of them were very good at hunting and had already caught several of them without his guidance. But what really made Wang Teng happy was that he could obtain origin of flame attribute bubbles from the worms, which increased his attributes by a lot. Chapter 10-11. You're the one who has a death wish. There are no more flaming river crystals in this area. Wang Teng and An Lan met up with the rest of the team and discussed for a moment. They prepared to move to the next location. They had searched all the areas around them. It was impossible to find any more flaming river crystals nearby. They returned to the surface. Wang Teng opened the map and searched for their next destination. There were many red zones marked on the map. These were the places other people had dug before. The lava swamp was huge, but after many years, most of the crystals had been excavated. They needed to find areas that hadn't been touched. Let's head to the north. That area is bigger, Wang Teng pointed to a patch of ground in the north and suggested. I have no objection, and Lan shrugged. Let's go. Wang Teng found where the north was and kept the map. Everyone flew in the direction under his lead. Approximately half an hour later, Wang Teng arrived at his destination and dived into the lava. After a few plonks, the surface of the lava resumed its calmness. It was as if nothing had happened. Approximately 10 minutes later, 2 beams of light shot over from afar and stopped in the air above their heads. One of them was Cow Jiao from the cow family. The other person was covered in a black robe. Here it is. There should be flaming river crystals here. Cow Jiao looked at the map and said. Yes. The man in the black robe nodded. The next moment, the 2 of them leaped into the lava without any protection. A magical scene appeared. After they entered the swamp, a layer of light appeared on the surface of their bodies. The lava around them was blocked outside the layer. Their bodies started sinking, and they quickly arrived at the bottom of the swamp. The 2 of them sensed their surroundings and left quickly. They traveled in the swamp without hindrance as if they were on land. After some time, they stopped again. The lava around them was pushed away, and a deep hole appeared in front of them. It was a new hole that was dug recently. The 2 of them turned silent. They came recently. Cow Jiao gritted her teeth and said using voice transmission. Chase them. The man's gaze turned sharp. He rushed forward at a fast speed. Cow Jiao's gaze flickered. She didn't dare to stay any longer and followed after him. Wang Teng, we must have collected 7,500 kilograms of flaming river crystals here, right? An Lan asked happily as he dashed out of a deep hole with Wang Teng. About there. It might be a little more. A smile appeared on the edge of Wang Teng's lips. He seemed happy. Suddenly, his expression changed. His gaze turned grim. What is it? An Lan asked hurriedly. The instant he asked the question, his expression changed too. He received a message through some unknown method. They got ambushed. Wang Teng received the news through his spiritual pet contract with Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion. He rushed in their direction without any hesitation. Damn it, they met a heaven stage martial warrior. It must be Cao Hongtu. The news that Lan received was even clearer. The mecha race had a special communication method. They were able to interact with one another within a certain distance. This was how the other 3 mechas contacted him just now. Don't worry, Cao Hongtu won't be able to release his heaven stage ability here. My friends can resist for some time. Lan consoled Wang Ting when he noticed how quiet he was. However, they increased their speed and tried their best to rush to the location. Boom! A loud explosion came from the bottom of the lava swamp. Lava splattered everywhere. Feng and the 3 Cosmos Stage mechas were fighting with a man in a black gown. They were the ones who caused the terrifying force explosion. The man in a black gown released his fist. A blue flame gathered and flew toward the 3 mechas. Boom! 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 The trio stood at 3 corners. Their arms turned into battle blades, and they released blade auras more than 10 meters long. They condensed their blade conscious into the blade glows, so the blade glows weren't very long. Instead, they appeared a little tiny. However, their power wasn't. They gathered together from 3 different directions and slammed on the blue fist mark, disintegrating the attacks of both parties. Bang! The lava got pushed away amid the loud explosion. An empty zone was left behind. Interesting. Wang Teng managed to find 3 mecha Cosmos Stage martial warriors. The man in a black gown said in a hoarse voice, "I heard that mechas are great as slaves. I think I can capture y'all back." The 3 Cosmos Stage mechas were furious. "How dare you?" Dong shouted coldly. His arm turned into a heavy mace. It gave off a dazzling yellow glow and smashed toward the man in a black gown. The yellow glow formed an outline of a huge mace. Useless. The man in a black gown snorted and hurled his punch out again. It collided with the mace and destroyed it instantly. Boom! Dong was the first to bear the brunt of the frightening force impact. He was thrown off his feet. The other 2 mechas elongated their arms, giving rise to a series of mechanical sounds. Their palms and arms connected together. They dashed out for more than 10 meters and caught Dong, pulling him back. "Don't act rashly. Wait for the boss to come back," Feng and Jian said in low voices. "Waiting for reinforcements? You're too naive." The man in a black gown moved instantly and charged toward the 3 martial warriors. The 3 mechas furrowed their brows. They exchanged glances with one another and nodded. Their arms changed shape again and turned into huge cannons. Intense force glows gathered on the mouth of the cannons quickly. The man in a black gown felt a sense of danger. He stopped and started retreating. Boom! 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 However, the 3 mechas had already completed their power-up. 3 brilliant force pillars shot out. With a snort, a giant axe appeared in the man in black's hand. As he twirled it, blue flames started burning violently. They formed the shape of an enormous giant axe. Boom! When he slashed his axe down, the axe aura collided with the 3 force glows. Bang! 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 Explosions were heard continuously. The lava around them erupted and blossomed like flowers of fire. The 3 force glows couldn't withstand the blue battleaxe. They got chopped, but the blue battleaxe continued hurling forward forcefully and slammed into the bodies of the 3 mechas. Their bodies were torn apart. They were almost hacked into 2. This is so scary. Let's run. The metal armor flaming scorpion called Little White over. It was flabbergasted. "You can't run away." Cao Jiaojiao blocked their path and pushed her fist out. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion were just Emperor-level star beasts. They couldn't resist the attack of a Cosmos Stage martial warrior. They were thrown into the air and slammed into the rocks at the bottom. Painful screams escaped their mouths. They had suffered heavy injuries. Cao Jiaojiao wanted to catch them alive, so she didn't release all her power. Thus, Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion weren't in any life-threatening danger. "I'll give you one chance." Give us the flaming river crystals and bow down to us, if not. The man in a black gown was extremely arrogant. He continued nonchalantly, I'll turn you into scrap. The three mechas were healing their bodies while their gazes flickered continuously. They couldn't hide their anger. Don't even think about it, Unfeng replied coldly with a furious glare. It looks like you have a death. The man in black stared at them sharply. Before he could finish his sentence, a shout echoed over from afar. You're the one who has a death wish. Chapter 10-12. You're a beautiful woman, but you're so vicious. Boom. A loud roar followed. A stream of light bolted over at an extreme speed, slicing through the thick lava and producing a harsh sonic boom. It didn't just stop there. The surrounding lava even rolled up as if there was a force stirring it. The scene was terrifying. The expression of the man in the black gown changed. Without thinking, he swung his battle axe and slashed with a monstrous blue flame. Boom! The two clashed violently and gave off a loud explosion. Force exploded and surged towards the surroundings, sweeping the nearby lava away. The man in the black gown retreated a dozen meters away in the aftermath before he could stop himself. However, the hand which held the axe was trembling a little. Wang Ting and Enlan had arrived. The transformed Thousand Armaments vessel was suspended in front of Enlan, waiting for an opportunity to fire. Heaven's stage. You're not Cao Hongtu. Enlan stared coldly at the man in the black gown. Me. The man in the black robe snorted and didn't respond immediately. He looked at Wang Ting and said, I didn't expect you to find a heaven stage martial warrior. We have underestimated you. Sinclaman. Wang Ting scoffed. Oh. The man in the black gown was surprised. He took off his hood and revealed his iconic bald head. How did you know? Your flames have exposed your identity. Wang Ting sneered. All of you really think highly of me. Two heaven stage martial warriors? Shameless. Oh, you're wrong. Cao Hongtu is enough to deal with you. I'm not here for you, but, Sinclaman chuckled softly. He didn't conceal his disdain and revealed the greed in his eyes as he stared at the green flame on Wang Ting's body. But now, the other things are not important anymore. It's unbelievable for a planetary stage martial warrior like you to possess a divine flame. This is fate. Fate of the heavens. Now it's mine. Delusional, Wang Ting said. What did you say? Sinclaman's face stiffened, and he couldn't control the rage in his heart. Even if the divine flame is in front of you, you wouldn't be able to subdue it. You are dreaming, Wang Ting said disdainfully. Sinclaman's face was gloomy and cold. He had to admit that Wang Ting was right. Even if the divine flame was right in front of his eyes, he might not be able to lay his hands on it. He was helpless. He felt a little jealous when he thought about this. Why couldn't he subdue a divine flame when a planetary stage martial warrior like Wang Ting could? Chempage. You don't have to worry about this. Wait till I obtain a divine flame. There will be ways to subdue it. Sinclaman scoffed. Humorous. Wang Ting mocked him as he turned and said to Enlan, I'll leave him to you. No problem. He hurt my men and wanted them to be his slaves. I'll see what he's capable of. If I don't kill him, I'm not Enlan. Enlan was enraged as he glared at Sinclaman with killing intent. The weapons transformed from the Thousand Armaments vessel circled around him and were ready to strike any time. I haven't killed a mecha heaven stage martial warrior before. I shall try it today. Sinclaman grinned. Enlan's eyes narrowed. There wasn't any movement, but the Thousand Armaments vessel had already vanished. He wasn't idle either as he dashed out and attacked with a sword in his hand. Sinclaman moved his axe with a solemn expression. The blue flame in his body erupted and enveloped the axe as he condensed them into a powerful attack. Boom, boom, boom. The two sides clashed and kept rising in the sky. Soon after, they rushed out of the swamp and fought in the sky. Cao Jiaojiao, keep an eye on Wang Ting. Don't let him escape. At the same time, Sinclaman's voice resounded from above. Cao Jiaojiao looked at Wang Ting in the distance, and a charming smile appeared on her face. I didn't expect to meet again in a situation like this. I have to thank you. Because of you, I have to marry that bastard Andre. Congratulations. Wang Ting was emotionless as he looked at Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion. He then heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that their lives weren't in danger. His cold gaze landed on Cao Jiaojiao. Cao Jiaojiao's face darkened, her smile gradually disappearing. You shouldn't have offended us, let alone the Parker's family. You have no way to survive now. She didn't do anything and just looked at Wang Ting calmly, like she was looking at a dead person. It's too early for you to be happy. Do you think Sinclaman can fight against Enlan? Wang Ting sneered. Enlan was not only a Cosmos Stage Divine Spirit Master, but he was also a Heaven Stage Martial Warrior. Could someone of his abilities not be able to defeat Sinclaman? Cao Jiaojiao's expression changed slightly. She didn't know where Wang Ting's confidence came from. The Parkers were generally powerful in combat and possessed special flames. Ordinary warriors wouldn't be able to defeat them. That mecha martial warrior was stronger than Sinclaman. How was this possible? However, Cao Jiaojiao wasn't intending to watch anymore and sneered. You should worry about yourself. I couldn't do anything to you in Great Chen City, but here, a planetary stage martial warrior like you wouldn't have the opportunity to jump around in front of me. Hand over the flaming river crystals and I might leave you an intact corpse. You are a beautiful woman, but you're so vicious. Wang Ting shook his head and sighed. You have a sharp tongue. Cao Jiaojiao's face blackened as she pulled out a sword from behind and disappeared from her spot. Boom. The next moment, she appeared in front of Wang Ting. Golden force burst out as she slashed her sword downward. Cao Jiaojiao was a metal element martial warrior. Although she was a woman, her attacks were ruthless. Her swordsmanship was excellent as well. She couldn't be compared with an ordinary martial warrior. Wang Ting was just a planetary stage martial warrior. Naturally, he wouldn't be stupid enough to confront her head-on. A battle armor appeared on his body and wrapped him in an instant. The wings of wind and lightning unfolded, and with a gentle flap, a thunderous roar reverberated. He retreated for dozens of meters. Cao Jiaojiao frowned. She didn't expect Wang Ting to have such a burst of speed. Her attack had missed. Those wings. In an instant, she saw Wang Ting's reliance on those wings. You're too naive to think that you can fight with Cosmos Stage martial warriors by relying on a pair of wings. Cao Jiaojiao's speed rose drastically. She wasn't much slower than Wang Ting and caught up. Wang Ting wanted to get away from her and rushed out of the swamp and into the sky. At the same time, the golden crescent blade flew downwards with a point of his finger. It slashed downward as the sound of metal echoed. Chapter 1013, A Real Combat. This doesn't sound right. The instant Cao Jiaojiao dashed out of the swamp, she came face to face with the golden crescent blade. Under the control of Wang Ting's celestial realm spiritual power, the golden crescent blade was trembling and spinning at high speed. This power was enough to threaten a Cosmos Stage martial warrior. Cao Jiaojiao's expression changed. She flung her blade out without any hesitation. Clang. Along with a crisp sound, force vibrated, and Cao Jiaojiao was thrown back. She landed in the swamp again. Cao Jiaojiao was furious. She flew out from another part of the swamp and glanced at her long blade. There was a hole in it. My blade. This was a Cosmos-level weapon. Cao Jiaojiao had saved money for a long time before she managed to forge this blade. Yet, Wang Ting made a hole in it. Your weapon isn't good enough. It got damaged after a light touch, Wang Ting said indifferently. Cao Jiaojiao was raging in her heart. She felt exasperated. When she saw Wang Ting's expression, she almost vomited a mouthful of blood. She took so much effort to find someone to forge this Cosmos-level weapon, but a planetary stage brat told her that it wasn't good enough. This wasn't right. This wasn't right at all. Don't look at me like that. You should blame the Cao family for being too poor. You can't even afford a good weapon. Wang Ting shook his head as if he felt pity for Cao Jiaojiao. However, to Cao Jiaojiao, it was a stab in her heart. She took a few deep breaths to force herself to calm down. Then, she scanned her surroundings and searched for the weapon he used to attack her. Cao Jiaojiao could tell that Wang Ting was a divine spirit master. Moreover, his stage was higher than his martial arts cultivation. No wonder he was confident. What attacked her was a powerful spiritual weapon. Don't be nervous. I'll never sneak attack a beautiful lady, Wang Ting said nonchalantly from a distance. As if I'll believe you. Cao Jiaojiao scoffed in her heart. If she hadn't reacted in time, she would have been hit. The attack of a divine spirit master was indeed hard to prevent. Wang Ting suddenly widened his eyes and looked behind Cao Jiaojiao. He seemed to have seen something unbelievable. Stop acting. Do you think I'll fall for that? Cao Jiaojiao sneered. However, she didn't let down her guard. She used her spirit to scan the area behind her and failed to detect any danger. Sigh, I thought my acting skill is at the Oscar level, Wang Ting replied sadly. Cao Jiaojiao couldn't catch up with his train of thoughts. She felt that he was the most tiring opponent to fight with. Why don't we do it again? You can cooperate with me, Wang Ting said. All right. Cao Jiaojiao blinked, and a seductive smile appeared on her pretty face. She nodded and agreed unexpectedly. Great. Let's start. Wang Ting was elated. His expression changed abruptly as he widened his eyes and stared behind Cao Jiaojiao in surprise. His expression was extremely real, portraying his astonishment. He would definitely win an award at an Oscar. This could be used as a textbook example in a lesson. HMPH. Cao Jiaojiao snorted. She turned and swung her blade down. Bang! A flaming aura was destroyed. It didn't harm her. I knew you were going to do something. Do you think I'm stupid? Cao Jiaojiao stared at Wang Ting in disdain. She looked down on his little tricks. Right then, her expression changed. Swoosh! A piercing sound came from her left. A black figure appeared out of the blue 3 meters away from her. The distance was too close, so Cao Jiaojiao had no chance of dodging it. Even if she made a move, it was too late. However, as someone who was stationed on the battlefield all year long, she had ample experience. She managed to change the direction of her body forcefully. Pest! The golden crescent blade flew inches away from her body. Despite barely dodging, the golden crescent blade still managed to cut her skin. It was at the spot below her armpit. Her armor was torn apart, and fresh blood spurted out. Her fair skin could be seen faintly. Cao Jiaojiao's heart pounded. Her face was a little pale. She couldn't suppress her fear after facing death at such a close distance. Wang Ting. She gritted her teeth as she called his name. She almost got cut into two. You managed to evade it. Wang Ting shook his head in pity. You're despicable. Cao Jiaojiao was fuming with anger. Don't say that. You're the one who promised to cooperate with me, Wang Ting replied innocently. Cao Jiaojiao felt like vomiting blood. She had never hated someone so much. He was just a planetary stage martial warrior, but she hated him to the core. Indeed, you're not stupid. However, you made a mistake because you think you're smart. Wang Ting sniggered. What's the point of playing such petty tricks? As a man, you should have real combat with me. Cao Jiaojiao tried to stimulate him. A real combat? That doesn't sound right. Wang Ting said shyly, although you're pretty, we're not that close. Also, you're marrying Andre soon. You shouldn't do something that will disappoint him. Or do you like exciting things? I%, asterisk and an %. Cao Jiaojiao almost flared up. She was about to explode. I didn't mean it that way. What dirty things was this bastard thinking? She kept taking deep breaths to calm herself down. Suddenly, she realized that Wang Ting was staring intently at her wound. Wow, big and round. Wang Ting exclaimed without shifting his gaze. Cao Jiaojiao was stunned. Then, anger and embarrassment appeared on her face as she used her hand to block that area quickly. The cut in her armor was a little wide, revealing a part of her body. In her rage, she didn't notice it and allowed Wang Ting to take advantage of her for some time. Don't block it. Beautiful things should be shared with everyone, Wang Ting said. I'll dig your eyes out. Cao Jiaojiao's face turned cold. She stared at Wang Ting sharply with strong killing intent. The cut in her armor closed up gradually and blocked her bare skin. Nothing could be seen anymore. Wang Teng retracted his gaze sadly and stared at Cao Jiaojiao. You don't have a chance. Sinclamen is going to lose soon. What? Cao Jiaojiao turned her head abruptly and saw Sinclamen getting pushed back by the Mecha Heaven Stage martial warrior. He seemed to be at a disadvantage. That's impossible. Sinclamen hasn't exerted all his strength. How can he lose? Before she could finish her sentence, Sinclamen suddenly turned and escaped at an astonishing speed. Cao Jiaojiao. No one would understand Cao Jiaojiao's emotions now. She cursed multiple times in her mind. She thought that this was a sure win, but things took a huge turn. She was flabbergasted by the change. Sinclamen ran away. He ran away without any hesitation. Didn't he want the divine flame? Didn't he want to capture the mechas to be his slaves? Why did he escape with his tail between his legs? Cao Jiaojiao didn't understand. She was filled with doubts. What was she supposed to do now? Chapter 10:14. Stop. Stop now. Naturally, Lan wouldn't allow Sinclamen to run away so easily. He gave chase hurriedly. Wang Teng never imagined Sinclamen to be so timid. He ran away immediately without any hesitation. Even Wang Teng was shocked. He smiled and said, "Looks like he's just putting on an act." The Parker's family is arrogant just because they are one of the elite families. Cao Jiaojiao couldn't refute. Sinclamen's actions overturned her impression of the Parkers. The oppressive and arrogant Parker's family was afraid of death too. She wanted to retreat too. Sinclamen had already escaped. If the Mecha Heaven Stage martial warrior came back, she would have no chance of keeping her life. Do you want to run away? Wang Teng asked suddenly, noticing her intention. So what? You can't stop me. Cao Jiaojiao's gaze flickered. She stopped talking to Wang Ting and dashed in another direction. Unfortunately, before she could run any further, 3 figures flew out from the swamp and blocked her path. They were the 3 Mecha Cosmos Stage martial warriors. As mechas, their bodies could be repaired quickly. They had suffered serious injuries a moment ago, but most of them had recovered. Cao Jiaojiao's expression finally changed. She changed her direction and increased her speed to the maximum in a bid to escape. Swoosh! Wang Teng controlled his golden crescent blade and made it vanish in mid-air. It appeared in another direction and forced Cao Jiaojiao back. Cao Jiaojiao wielded her blade to deflect the incoming strike. However, Wang Ting was controlling it with his spiritual power. The instant she knocked it back, it rebounded and continued sticking to her like a leech. The 3 Cosmos Stage mechas had caught up with them. They surrounded Cao Jiaojiao from 3 sides. They were still furious because they got heavily injured by Sinclamen. They didn't show any mercy to Cao Jiaojiao. The mecha race were all straightforward men. They showed no pity towards ladies. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions sounded continuously. Cao Jiaojiao wasn't the match of 3 Cosmos Stage martial warriors. Besides, Wang Teng, the divine spirit master, was standing beside them and disturbing her tempo. Boom. After some time, Cao Jiaojiao got thrown back by the 3 mechas. Fresh blood spurted out of her mouth. She started to look a little lifeless. Wang Ting took the chance and released his emerald-glazed flame in the form of a fire tongue. He tied Cao Jiaojiao up tightly. Cao Jiaojiao struggled frantically with a pale face. However, the fire tongue was made from emerald-glazed flame. It was a special attribute dropped by the fire blacktoads and was extremely sturdy and flexible. At her peak, Cao Jiaojiao might be able to break free from the grip. With her injuries, she didn't have the energy to do so now. A tinge of helplessness appeared on her face. This wasn't the result she expected. Cao Jiaojiao, you never expected this, right? Wang Teng walked over and sized her up with a smirk. The grip was a little tight, so Cao Jiaojiao's figure could be seen clearly. Her curves were apparent. Cao Jiaojiao was embarrassed and furious. She glared at Wang Teng. Lan came back at this moment, but there was no sign of Sinclamen. You didn't catch him? Wang Ting asked with a frown. He ran away. That fellow has many methods of escaping, Lan said helplessly. He seemed to be in a bad mood. He's from a powerful family. It's normal that he has ways to protect himself. What a pity. This was a good chance. Wang Ting shook his head. None of you will be able to run away once he meets up with my father. Cao Jiao snorted. I haven't done anything to you, but you're still shouting, Wang Ting said coldly with a dangerous glare. It's all right. At least we caught one. She's Cao Hongta's daughter to boot, Lan said. We won't kill her for now. Let's see if Cao Hongtu still wants his daughter later, Wang Ting said. But she hurt my spiritual pets. I have to take revenge for that. What do you want? Cao Jiao's expression turned grim. What do you think? Wang Ting sniggered. He formed another fire tongue and threw it at Cao Jiao's face. Clap, clap. The fire tongue worked the same way as the fire black toad's tongue and slapped Cao Jiao's face. Goosebumps appeared on her skin. The most important thing was, this fire tongue contained the heat of the emerald glazed flame. A Cosmos stage martial warrior couldn't withstand it. Red marks were left on her face after the slaps. Her beautiful face became red in an instant. Ah! Cao Jiao screamed. Wang Ting, stop. Stop now. To a lady, nothing was more important than her face. Cao Jiao knew that her face must be injured and bruised now. This was the greatest torture for her. You were so arrogant in the past. You injured my spiritual pets and wanted to kill me. I'm kind compared to you, Wang Ting said calmly. Clap, clap. The fire tongue slapped again mercilessly. It was ruthless. Ah! Cao Jiao screamed. TSK, how can you bear to hit her? Shouldn't humans like you feel protective towards a lady? Cao Jiao is a beauty, right? You don't seem to care though. Lan was dumbstruck. You don't understand. Ladies need to be taught properly, Wang Teng replied. Wang Teng, I'll never forgive you. Cao Jiao gritted her teeth as she glared at Wang Ting with burning eyes. Looks like this is still not enough. Wang Ting touched his chin and pondered for some time. He asked in his mind, Round Ball, can you take off her armor? Yes. What do you want to do? Round Ball's expression turned weird. It felt that Wang Ting was planning to do something bad. Stop wasting time. If you can, take it off. I don't believe I can take care of this lady, Wang Ting snapped back. All right. Give me 30 seconds. Round Ball disappeared. 30 seconds passed quickly. Cao Jiao immediately noticed something wrong. She gasped in shock. What did you do to my armor? Don't worry, I'm just helping you take it off. Wang Ting squatted down and smiled. Bastard, what do you want to do? Cao Jiao had a bad feeling. She was on the verge of a breakdown. Click. Cao Jiao's armor finally dropped. Wang Ting didn't say anything. His smile turned evil as he threw his fire tongue out and whipped her body. Without the armor, her body was entirely exposed. She was wearing normal clothes. When the fire tongue landed on her, it left a mark on her fair thighs. This time, Wang Ting added some lightning power inside too, inflicting severe pain on her. Gasp! Cao Jiao's expression changed. She gasped in pain and her body started twitching uncontrollably. Does it feel good? Wang Ting asked with a smile. You're a monster. Cao Jiao tried her best to control her trembling body. Fear was finally seen in her eyes when she saw Wang Ting's evil smile. This bastard's heart must be black. Chapter 10:15. From now on, you're the best at boasting. 3 days later. Night. The day and night in the Flaming River world relied on the 5 fireballs in the sky. When they went down, night dawned. It was said that these 5 fireballs would land in the volcano in the middle of the Flaming River world. In the morning, they would rise automatically. They were like 5 suns. The power of the universe stage martial warrior wasn't something ordinary martial warriors could imagine. A bonfire burned in the wilderness. Wang Teng and his team sat beside the bonfire. Cao Jiao was still tied up and thrown behind them. There were whipped marks all over her body. She seemed to have been badly tormented. She would be sprawled on the ground if it wasn't for the rock behind her. Wang Ting barbecued the cleaned flaming crystal red phosphorus worms. A strong fragrance wafted in the air. And Lan and the others wrinkled their noses. They were swallowing their salivas. They were mechas, but strangely, they could eat and drink. They were just like any other life forms. I didn't think that the flaming crystal red phosphorus worm would be a delicacy, and Lan licked his lips and said, "Can you all eat?" Wang Ting asked curiously. "Of course. We have life replication technology, so the internal structure of our body is the same as any other living creature. We have different organs in our bodies and the food we eat can be directly converted to energy," and Lan explained. "I don't see you eating normally," Wang Ting said. "Why should I eat if it's not tasty?" And Lan said in contempt. "You're quite picky." Wang Ting was speechless. "Is it ready?" And Lan asked impatiently. "Almost done." Wang Ting barbecued for 2 to 3 more minutes. The flaming crystal red phosphorus worms had turned golden brown with a hint of red. They looked appetizing. And Lan and the others made their moves before Wang Ting could say anything. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the worms were gone. "Are you hungry ghosts?" Wang Ting was stunned, hurriedly pulling the remaining food back. He had worked hard to barbecue these worms. It would be frustrating if he didn't get to have a taste. Fortunately, they caught many flaming crystal red phosphorus worms over the past few days, so there was enough food. "Little White, Old Metal, have a taste of it." Wang Ting finally remembered his 2 poor spiritual pets after taking a few bites and pulled them out of the space fragment. "What's this smell? It's so fragrant." The metal armor flaming scorpion's eyes lit up. "Flaming crystal red phosphorus worm," Wang Ting replied. "Oh." The metal armor flaming scorpion grabbed a stick with its pincers and placed it in its mouth. A stick was gone just like that. It chewed a few times and exclaimed, "Delicious. Tasty. This little worm is so delicious." "Caw, caw." Little White was swift too. It bit the worm with its beak, tilted its head, and swallowed it whole. Then, it cawed happily. "Ha ha ha, Wang Ting, your spiritual pets are foodies." And Lan burst out laughing. "You're the same." Wang Ting glanced at him from the corner of his eyes. And Lan coughed and said, "We have collected enough flaming river crystals over the past few days, right? We have 54,000 kilograms of it. This is way out of our expectations. It should be enough." Wang Ting nodded. These few days, they had searched large areas that hadn't been dug using the map Di Chi gave them. They were lucky and found many flaming river crystals there. After collecting all of them, they accumulated 54,000 kilograms of it by right. They only needed 25,000 kilograms. Collecting more was better, but they already had enough. Wang Ting didn't plan to search anymore. They had 2 more missions to complete, so they mustn't waste too much time on the first task. Besides, he didn't believe that Cao Hongtu could surpass him. 54,000 kilograms wasn't a small number. They found so many crystals because Wang Ting could sense the fire force within a wide range below the rock layer using his emerald-glazed flame. Cao Hongtu didn't have this skill. Also, they hadn't met Sinclaman after he ran away. Wang Ting suspected that they had given up on the first mission. Cao Jiaojiao's gaze finally flickered when she heard the quantity of flaming river crystals they had collected. She started to feel depressed. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion had swallowed the flaming crystal red phosphorus worms. A red glow exuded out of their bodies, and their auras rose tremendously. The flaming crystal red phosphorus worm was an emperor-level star beast. As emperor-level star beasts, it had great benefits for Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion. Furthermore, they ate multiple pieces, so it was normal that their ability rose. After having their fill, Wang Ting took out the map and spent the night rushing over to where the flaming rivers were. They found some fire blacktoads along the way, but there were too few of them. It would take a long time for them to accumulate 500 kills. Thus, they decided to head to the flaming river. That was the home of the fire blacktoads, so there would be many for them to kill. Wang Ting didn't know what the flaming river was. The map only showed the location. When the 5 fireballs rose into the sky, they finally reached their destination. He finally saw the real appearance of the flaming river. Oh my God! Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks everyone, including Wang Teng, widened their eyes in disbelief. The owner of this world is impressive. And Lan took a long time to regain his composure. He was awestruck. The flaming river is a river of fire in the sky. This is unbelievable, Wang Ting took a deep breath and said. Wang Teng and his team were floating a few hundred meters above the ground. In front of them, there was a 10-meter-wide river of fire flowing into the horizon. Neither the start nor the end was visible. It was said that the flaming river started from the edge of this world and flowed back to the other edge. It moved continuously and was a mystical presence. It was hard to believe how this river existed. What astounded Wang Teng was, there were countless red attribute bubbles floating above the flaming river. They were more than the ones he saw in the lava swamp. Pick them up. Wang Teng's gaze shone brightly. He released his spiritual power and pulled the bubbles over. In an instant, the attribute bubbles flew over to him like sparrows returning home. They merged into his body. The scene was magnificent. Unfortunately, no one could witness it. Constellation Force, Fire, *15 Constellation Force, Fire, *20 Constellation Force, Fire, *10 Constellation Force, Fire, *50 Constellation Force, Fire, *30 Constellation Force, Fire, *80. There were so many attribute bubbles that the entire collection process took more than a minute. Mind you, Wang Teng's speed of collection was extremely fast. Normally, he only needed a second. However, this time, the process took more than a minute. It was hard to imagine. Boom. All the attribute bubbles contained Constellation Fire Force. The force started flowing around Wang Teng's body. The different streams gathered like a roaring river and swarmed through his limbs like floodwaters. The rumbling sounded continuously. He activated his Starfire scripture and operated it once. All the forces surged towards the Sea of Nihility. Boom. An explosion occurred above the Sea of Nihility. The fire constellations trembled violently as the large amount of fire force crashed into them. They flew out from the line of constellations and started spinning above the Sea of Nihility at high speed. At this moment, the constellations froze for a second before shooting towards the center. Boom. A frightening explosion occurred. A vast sea of force swept through the area. The collision of the constellations formed a large crimson whirlpool with numerous fiery red crystals decorating it like stars. They flickered and shone brightly in the sky of darkness. It was a dazzling sight. The whirlpool spun at high speed while condensing towards a certain point. A transformation was taking place. Time passed slowly. No one knew how long it took. The crimson whirlpool had disappeared by now, condensing into a fiery red ball. It was many times bigger than the other force constellations. It seemed to be made of fiery red crystals. It looked like a star. Celestial stage. Wang Ting had reached the celestial stage. Before he could feel happy, a strong force of vitality shot out from the constellation and merged into his body. Under the influence of this vitality, Wang Teng's physical body started changing. His planetary stage body evolved into a celestial stage body. His bones, blood, muscles, and even the cells in his body took a leap in quality. The process felt slow, but it actually happened at an unbelievably fast speed, finishing within a few breaths. Wang Ting let out a long sigh. A piercing red light flashed in his eyes. An oppressive aura exuded from his body. This aura disappeared in an instant. Although Wang Ting suppressed it quickly, as a heaven stage martial warrior, and Lan still detected it. You had a breakthrough? He was dumbfounded. Wang Ting decided not to hide. He nodded naturally as if he had completed a simple task. Celestial stage? And Lan probed further. It was understandable why he lost his cool. Wang Teng's breakthrough happened without any warning. He made it look so simple. Other people worked extremely hard and were exceptionally careful during their breakthrough, but Wang Teng did it as easily as sleeping or eating. Anyone would find it appalling. Yes, I had some enlightenment after I saw this flaming river and naturally advanced, Wang Teng replied casually. And Lan didn't know how to respond to his bragging. After a few seconds, he said, "From now on, you're the best at boasting." Chapter 10:16. The Real Flaming River. Thank you. Wang Ting thanked Lan sincerely as if he was honestly complimenting him. You're welcome. Lan felt helpless. He regained his composure quickly though. To a heaven stage martial warrior, the celestial stage was nothing much. He was just surprised at the sudden breakthrough. This fellow is really extraordinary. Lan exclaimed in his heart. Cao Jiaojiao also noticed Wang Ting's breakthrough. There was a hint of astonishment in her eyes, and she was unable to remain calm. This fellow had a breakthrough at such a crucial moment. The breakthrough seemed so simple. It felt outrageous. Cao Jiaojiao already knew about Wang Ting's emperor-level fire talent from Cao Hongtu. But why did it seem so easy? Even someone with imperial-level talent wouldn't be able to do it so smoothly. This didn't make sense. There was a virtual castle in the life energy stone. Round Ball laid on the balcony of the castle and pouted. Why are they making such a huge scene? It was just a breakthrough to the celestial stage. If Wang Ting revealed all his trump cards, they would probably be scared to death. However, it had to admit that Wang Ting was a little outrageous. One could never take him as an ordinary person. Wang Ting felt the changes in his body. The fire force had calmed down, and the fire star was spinning silently above the sea of nihility. But it was no longer in the same row as the other force constellations. It stayed in a space of its own and appeared a little arrogant. A smile appeared on the edge of Wang Ting's lips. Either way, he finally broke through to the celestial stage. He glanced at the attributes panel. Constellation Fire Force, 28-10,000, Celestial Stage First Level. Huh? Wang Ting felt puzzled. This wasn't right. The upper limit of the planetary stage first level was 10,000. Why was it the same at the celestial stage? This didn't make sense. As he stared at the row of attributes, he got enlightened. So this is how it works, Wang Ting muttered to himself in surprise. When he advanced to the celestial stage, the force he received would be calculated based on the celestial stage standard. This meant that the constellation force he received from planetary stage martial warriors would be purified automatically. The value would become lower. Only the constellation force he received from celestial stage martial warriors would be of the same value. As for the cosmos stage and heaven stage, the value of the constellation force would increase relatively. Wang Ting didn't know how the conversion worked. The system had the right to all the calculations. He blinked and stopped pondering over this issue. He should focus on raising his ability quickly. That way, even if the system decided to leave him one day, he wouldn't have anything to worry about. He shifted his gaze and looked at another attribute. Origin of Life, 20400. His origin of life had increased by 10,000 points. This was a huge change. This showed that the advancement to the celestial stage was truly an upgrade of one's life. The different stages were all incomparable to each other. After studying the changes in his attributes, Wang Ting shifted his thoughts back to the real world. This flaming river is a good place. After killing enough fire black toads, I must go along this river and pick up all the attribute bubbles. Wang Ting made a promise to himself. Lan noticed that Wang Ting had managed to stabilize his cultivation, so he opened his mouth and asked, "Are we going to start killing fire black toads from here?" "Yes, let's start here." Wang Ting nodded. Just when they were about to start moving, Wang Ting suddenly realized that Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion were staring at the flaming river absent-mindedly. Little White, Old Metal, Wang Ting called them with a frown. "Master, something in the flaming river is beckoning me," the metal armor flaming scorpion suddenly said. "Something is beckoning you?" Wang Ting was confused. He turned to Little White and asked, "Do you feel it too?" "Caw." Little White nodded. "You sense it too?" Wang Ting was astounded. "It looks like there's something inside the flaming river," and Lan touched his chin and said. Wang Ting contemplated for some time before asking his spiritual pets, "Can you guys detect the exact location?" "No, I can only sense that it's in the flaming river." The metal armor flaming scorpion shook its head helplessly after trying. If that's the case, we're looking for a needle in the haystack. You are only at the Emperor level. If you enter the flaming river recklessly, you might die before finding the thing. Wang Ting shook his head. The metal armor flaming scorpion and Little White were aware of it, so they looked at Wang Ting and waited for him to make the decision. Since we're going into the flaming river to kill fire blacktoads, we can search for the item along the way. If you detect its exact location, remember to inform me, Wang Ting said after some consideration. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion had no objections. And Lan, you won't have to go down later. I have an idea. Well, Wang Ting sniggered and turned to speak to Lan and the other mechas. Lan nodded continuously, his eyes glowing. This is a good plan. I'll leave the surface to y'all. Wang Ting nodded and jumped into the flaming river with Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion. The three of them were devoured by the flames and vanished without a trace. Will they be alright jumping in like this? Feng asked. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, that fellow has a divine flame. Normal flames won't be able to hurt him. As for the fire blacktoads, he won't have a problem dealing with them, Lan replied. That's true. Feng nodded. Anyway, boss, I have never seen you being this confident in someone. This person is different, Lan said. The other three mechas glanced at him in surprise and nodded in deep thought. A normal martial warrior won't be able to achieve a breakthrough so abruptly. That's not the only surprise, Lan said in a meaningful tone. In the flaming river, Wang Ting felt the fire surrounding him. Scorching heat surged over, attempting to burn all the living creatures that barged into the river. What a frightening temperature. Wang Ting was flabbergasted. If he didn't have the emerald-glazed flame suit protecting him, he would definitely be burned to death in this environment. Even after advancing to the celestial stage, he couldn't withstand the heat. He hurriedly looked at Little White and metal armor flaming scorpion. He was dumbstruck. You seem fine? Wang Ting asked in bewilderment. Yes. Master, the temperature isn't that high, the metal armor flaming scorpion replied. Isn't that high? How's that possible? Wang Ting wondered if the metal armor flaming scorpion was joking. He could sense the temperature around him clearly, but these two star beasts were telling him it wasn't high. Was he having an illusion? Caw. Little White cawed too. It was unaffected by the heat and continued flying in the flaming river. Moreover, it seemed to be enjoying itself. What's going on? Wang Ting frowned. He felt that this wasn't an illusion, nor was there a problem with his senses. There was only one possibility. Let's go. Wang Ting suppressed the thought in his mind and called Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion over. The two spiritual pets glanced at each other and followed after Wang Ting. The river was wide and deep, but nothing could be seen from the surface. One would only see an endless flaming river laid horizontally in the sky. It was obvious that the owner of this flaming river world used space power to build this river. Wang Ting continued diving deeper with his spiritual pets. The flame couldn't hurt them, so he didn't have to worry about them. But the deeper they went, the higher the temperature became. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion remained unaffected. They were extremely carefree, like fish returning to the sea. Interesting. Wang Ting smiled. He was more certain of his guess. Croak. A strange cry interrupted his thoughts. At the same time, a long tongue shot out from the flames below, aiming at Wang Ting. I've been waiting for you. Wang Ting's eyes gleamed. He stretched his hand and pointed his finger. The golden crescent blade darted out and cut the long tongue into two. The golden crescent blade was made of extraordinary material. It could withstand high heat, hence the reason Wang Ting dared to use it. Croak. Another strange noise was heard. This time, it was filled with pain. Well, its tongue was cut. Croak, croak, croak. It was like a wake-up call. Numerous strange noises resounded in the river. A sea of crimson-yellow balls lit up below them, covering the entire floor. It wasn't a friendly sight for people with trypophobia. F***K. Wang Ting cursed. These weren't balls of light. They were the eyes of the fire black toads. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Before he could react, piercing sonic booms rang in the river, attacking Wang Ting from below. Go! Wang Ting's expression changed slightly. The golden crescent blade flew out again and chopped all the long tongues. Clang! At this moment, the golden crescent blade slammed into a tough opponent and gave off a metallic sound. It rebounded. Mid-tier Imperial level fire black toad. Wang Ting's expression turned serious. He shouted at Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion, "Go!" The two-star beasts immediately flew upwards. Boom! 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 Giant figures had already appeared below. They were infuriated and kept chasing Wang Ting relentlessly. They spurted pillars of fire out of their mouths and hurled them at Wang Ting. Wang Ting didn't know that the fire black toads had another attacking method. His expression turned grim, and his speed rose exponentially. He shuttled back and forth within the pillars of fire, dodging them as he flew upwards. He didn't keep Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion in his space fragment. These two spiritual pets hadn't participated in any battle after they advanced to the Emperor level. Life or death experiences would help them to mature quickly. Even escaping was a form of real-life battle experience. Wang Ting didn't help them. He would only do so if they were in fatal danger. Very soon, they reached the top of the river. Wang Ting was elated and quickly charged out. At the same time, he shouted, "And Lan, do it now." Chapter 10:17. Are you looking down on me? Bang! 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 Wang Ting rushed out of the flaming river with his spiritual pets and a group of fire black toads hot on their tails. They were mostly Emperor level and low-tier Imperial level fire black toads. There were a few mid-tier Imperial level ones, which were equivalent to the Cosmos stage. Boom! It was such a large group of fire black toads that it was overwhelming. It was a spectacular scene. And Lan was ready to take action when he heard Wang Ting's voice. However, even with his willpower, he was still taken aback when he witnessed the sight. So many of them. And Lan's eyes widened, and he cursed in his heart. He then yelled at the top of his lungs, "Attack!" The three mechas charged at them immediately. Croak! 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 Amid the pitiful cries, the fire black toads were getting killed in batches. To Cosmos stage martial warriors, these toads were equivalent to planetary stage and celestial stage martial warriors. It was not a problem for them. Besides, Lan, a heaven stage martial warrior, was present as well. The 1,000 armaments vessel turned into streaks of light and devastated the fire black toads. Wang Ting had seen the assembled form of the 1,000 armaments vessel, and now, he saw its detached form. It was indeed a lethal weapon. Even the mid-tier Imperial level fire black toads had no chance of survival when facing Lan. Wang Ting instructed Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion to attack while he stood by the side and gave them moral support. He didn't forget to collect the attribute bubbles. Constellation Force, Fire, *80 blank attribute *300 Constellation Force, Fire, *500 blank attribute *800 Fire Tongue *50 Constellation Force, Fire, *700 blank attribute *1000 Constellation Force, Fire, *1200 Fire Tongue *75 Huge numbers of attribute bubbles merged into Wang Ting's body, increasing his constellation fire force once again. Just like he had guessed, Emperor-level star beasts dropped fewer attribute bubbles. Only Imperial-level star beasts dropped the normal amounts. However, it wasn't a problem. Things would be fine as long as he hunted enough star beasts. With Lan and the three other mechas, he could just pick the attribute bubbles while lying down. It's great to be rich. If you had the money, you could just hire strong people to do the work for you. It was awesome. After a while, the fire black toads that were led by Wang Ting were all killed. There were roughly 50 of them, and there were 5 mid-tier Imperial-level fire black toads. Let's continue. Wang Ting got Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion to enter the river once again. This guy really treats me as his laborer. And Lan was caught between laughter and tears. He was helpless. He had to work for the money. It smells so good. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Wang Teng and the others followed the flaming river and continued farming. One by one, the fire blacktoads entered his space ring. With their method, they spent less than half a day and exceeded the 500 fire blacktoads required for the mission. However, they didn't have 50 of the mid-tier Imperial level fire blacktoads. Mid-tier Imperial level star beasts were equivalent to Cosmos stage martial warriors. A star beast of that level was rather rare. 2 days later, Wang Ting had hunted 2,380 fire blacktoads, with 53 mid-tier Imperial level ones. He had satisfied the requirements. Even so, it was incredible. The Emperor-level star beasts were like overlords on Earth. However, here, they were hunted down like regular star beasts. Wang Ting wouldn't have believed it in the past. But in the universe, this was nothing. Emperor-level and low-tier Imperial-level star beasts were common, just like planetary stage and celestial stage martial warriors. This was especially so in some special regions, where there were countless Emperor-level star beasts. The Flaming River world was one such place. The number of fire blacktoads in the river had surprised him, and Lan, and the others. 2 days later, Wang Teng and the others stopped hunting temporarily. They were all bored after killing for 2 days. But the benefits couldn't be ignored. Wang Teng's Constellation Fire Force and blank attributes had skyrocketed. Constellation Fire Force, 5,630,000, Celestial Stage 3rd level, blank attribute, 576000. His Constellation Fire Force had advanced to the 3rd level. He just broke through it to the Celestial Stage recently, and now, it was already at the 3rd level. No genius could match his speed. Meanwhile, he had 576,000 blank attributes, more than he ever had before. Wang Teng had not decided on how he would use them, saving them for the time being. It wasn't too late for him to think about it after this trial was over. Besides that, he had improved another skill by a large margin. Fire Tongue, 10,000, perfected. This was a real surprise. He actually perfected it. Wang Teng's application of Fire Tongue had reached a very high level. It was more flexible and swift, and he could control its power and tenacity. His mastery might perhaps even surpass countless fire blacktoads. For a moment, Wang Teng didn't know what to feel. Many images that shouldn't have appeared in his mind surfaced involuntarily. One ashamed. Ashamed. Cough. Stop it. Do you still want to hunt? And Lan interrupted his wild thoughts. Let's hunt for another 2 days. Somehow, I feel that there is a deeper meaning behind this flaming river's existence, Wang Teng replied after pondering. Oh, why do you say that? Don't you find that there are too many fire blacktoads here? It's a bit too much, but it shouldn't be a big deal. After all, they were raised here for so many years and there are no predators to kill them. It is natural to have so many of them. But I found a problem. Wang Teng frowned as though he was in deep thought. What problem? When I brought my 2 spiritual pets into the river, I realized that they were not affected too much. This river seems to be very friendly to star beasts. Is that so? Now that you've said it, it does seem a bit strange. And Lan rubbed his chin and his eyes shone, as though he was thinking about the same problem. He then asked after a while, do you have any idea? I have a guess, but I don't know if it's right. I'll have to verify it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find what I want these few days. Wang Ting shook his head helplessly. Let's search for another 2 days. We dug Flaming River crystals for 3 days and hunted fire blacktoads for 2 days. It doesn't matter if you spend another 2 days finding it. We still have half of the time left to obtain the legacy. No one has succeeded till now, it won't be that easy. Don't have high hopes for it. You have to accept the outcome. Just make sure you win the 2 missions. Cao Hongtu and the others are probably planning the same as well, and Lan said. You are actually smart, Wang Teng said in surprise. Are you looking down on me? And Lan shot him a glare. No. You know me. I always admire a strong person like you. Wang Teng widened his innocent eyes and said. Scram Tilda and Lan spat in a bad mood. Chapter 1018, Taunting Death in the Flaming River. Wang Ting dived into the river with Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion again. They went straight to the depths. If there was anything strange about this place, it would definitely be hidden in the deepest part. This was an undeniable fact. There was a limit to the flaming river. Although it was created using spatial power, the maximum depth was a few hundred meters. The bottom of the flaming river wasn't filled with rocks or sand or flames. There seemed to be lava running below. It gave off a dark red color and was flowing at a low pace. Scorching heat spread out from it. Wang Ting tried throwing an item into the lava and noticed that the temperature here was much higher than the flames in the flaming river. Anything that touched it would burn immediately. He could also tell that the lava was only half a meter deep. With its limited depth, nothing large could hide inside. Swoosh! A fire element python had been lying prone in the lava for some time. Suddenly, it leaped up and attacked Wang Ting, opening its maw in an attempt to swallow him. The fire black toad was not the only star beast living in the flaming river. There were other star beasts too. However, the fire black toads were the rulers of the river while the others were just sidekicks. Caw. Master, be careful. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion warned him at the same time. Me. Wang Ting snorted. The golden crescent blade slashed through the air. The fire element python froze in mid-air for a second before its body split into two, starting from its head. A large amount of fresh blood spurted out, but it evaporated when it touched the flames. A low-tier Imperial-level star beast dares to attack me? Is it tired of living? Wang Ting shook his head speechlessly. Had these star beasts turned stupid after living in this peaceful environment for a long time? At this moment, the python's body started burning from within. What's going on? Wang Ting squinted. When the star beasts were alive, nothing happened to them. Yet, they went up into flames after they died. Before this, they lured all the fire black toads out of the flaming river and kept their corpses. Thus, they didn't notice this situation. Wang Ting stared intently at the python that self-ignited. It had attracted all his attention. After some time, the giant python disappeared. Only its head was left. Wang Ting heaved a long sigh. Many thoughts went through his mind. He felt that he might know what was happening. Suddenly, a shadow of a python dashed out from the python's head and tried to escape into the distance. A low-tier Imperial-level star beast could let its soul leave its body temporarily. The giant python's soul was fortunate enough to escape his attack, so it didn't die. However, since its body was gone, its soul had to escape or it would still die in the end. Naturally, Wang Ting wouldn't let it go. Just when he was about to make his move, he saw something and gasped in surprise. Pest! The shadow started burning from within and disappeared into a wisp of green smoke. It was as if it had never existed. I understand. An idea popped up in his mind. There was a sharp glow in his eyes. To prove his hypothesis, he remained patient and caught a few more star beasts. He killed them but left their souls unharmed. After these star beasts died, all of them went into flames. It was as if the flaming river swallowed them. They disappeared in an instant. Indeed. Wang Ting blinked. He was quite sure of his guess. He immediately brought Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion out of the flaming river. Did you give up? And Lan asked curiously when he saw Wang Ting coming out. Cover me, Wang Ting said seriously. He didn't explain further and sat down cross-legged above the flaming river. Are you? And Lan was astounded. He had some questions, but Wang Ting had already closed his eyes, so he couldn't ask. A faint and misty ball of white light flew out of Wang Ting's forehead. Spiritual body. And Lan frowned. He released his soul. What's he trying to do? This ball of light was a star formed from one spiritual body. After flying out from his forehead, Wang Ting controlled it and let it dive into the flaming river. F***K. And Lan cursed uncontrollably, his expression changing. This fellow is crazy. Is he tempting fate? How dare he throw his spiritual body into the flaming river? His brows were scrunched up while the spirit in his body turned restless. He was prepared to save Wang Ting at any time. But even with his spirit cultivation, He would be heavily injured if he allowed his spirit to enter the flaming river. He couldn't stay inside too long either, or he would never be able to come back. Wang Teng didn't know how nervous Lan was. He had made ample preparations before entering the flaming river. He would never take his life as a joke. At this moment, his spirit was roaming in the flaming river and sinking to the bottom. Piss! The flames inside the river surrounded his spirit. Wang Teng immediately felt a terrifying scorching pain. This pain didn't come from his body, but rather from his spirit. It was 1,000 times worse than a physical injury, enough to make someone die. Gasp! Wang Teng took in a huge breath of air. However, he was just a spiritual body now, so he couldn't do anything. Fortunately, he was a divine spirit master. He could use his spiritual power to resist temporarily. If not, the flames would burn his origin of soul, reducing him to ashes quickly. Time passed slowly. Everything seemed calm. Nothing happened. Wang Teng bore the excruciating pain. His face was pale, and large droplets of sweat were pouring down his forehead. His body started trembling uncontrollably. His spiritual power had been exhausted. This was the first time such a situation had occurred. His spiritual power reserves had never been emptied before. Once all his spiritual power was used up, the flames in the flaming river would be a direct threat to his spiritual body. Wang Teng felt the danger of death. He wanted to use his blank attributes to restore his spiritual power, but he suddenly stopped. Many thoughts went through his mind. You have to spend money to make money. I'm going to give it my all. Wang Teng gritted his teeth. He didn't use any blank attributes and allowed his spiritual body to be entirely exposed to the flames in the river. Boom! The flames surged over and engulfed the spiritual body, burning it furiously. The pain got worse. Wang Teng was in a bad state. He felt as if he would explode at any time. I'll bear with it, I'll bear with it. I'll. F***K. Wang Teng screamed in his heart. His expression turned distorted. He's crazy. He's probing death in the eye. Lan was astounded when he saw this scene. I don't mind if you die, but what about my money? You haven't given me any money. No, I can't let you die. F***K. Why am I doing this? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1019, Soul of Thousand Beasts Flame. Wang Teng had hit his limit. His spirit was withstanding an excruciating pain, and he was on the verge of collapsing. Pain. Hell of a pain. Although he had strong willpower, this pain was outrageous. He suddenly understood how Devil Lord Kai Yang felt when he tortured him with the emerald-glazed flame. Was this karma? Wang Teng started to self-reflect. He felt that he might have gone overboard in the past. After reflecting for a second, he decided to use his blank attributes to save himself. He couldn't resist anymore. He would die if this continued. That thing is really patient. It didn't appear even at this time. Wang Teng complained in his heart. Suddenly, his spiritual body trembled. He felt a special flame seeping in through the flames around him. Wang Teng was overjoyed. It's here. He quickly suppressed his excitement. At the same time, he threw away the thought of using his blank attributes. He continued to put on a weak front, waiting for the special flame to enter his spiritual body. However, this special flame was extremely cautious. It was like a thief. It didn't barge into the room immediately but took a step in carefully. Then, it raised its other leg and went in, peeking around to observe the room. Wang Teng's spiritual body was on the verge of breaking down. He was in a panic when he saw the flame dawdling around. Quick! Quick! Come in quickly, you idiot! Wang Teng roared in his heart. He had never felt so frustrated and helpless. He was helpless because of a flame. It was infuriating just thinking about it. After some time, the little flame confirmed that there was no danger and fully entered his spiritual body. Ha ha ha. Wang Teng's evil laughter resounded. Let's see how you run this time. Boom. The emerald-glazed flame, the holy flame, and the dark flame hidden in the depths of his spiritual body surged out. The little flame was given a fright. It shivered and wanted to escape. Wang Teng released his 3 divine flames and blocked all paths of escape, surrounding the little flame. At the same time, the emerald-glazed flame flowed out from his spiritual body and formed a shield outside. This was Wang Teng's trump card, the reason for his confidence. He hid the 3 divine flames in his spiritual body beforehand, so he wasn't afraid of any accidents happening. Even so, he didn't let down his guard. A spiritual body was extremely weak. It was dangerous to expose it directly to the flaming river. Any mistake and he would die. As the flames were released, Wang Ting heaved a sigh of relief. The agony on his face subsided. Lan wanted to help, but he stopped when he saw this scene. He was puzzled. He did it. He walked around Wang Ting and confirmed that he was in no life-threatening danger. He felt at ease. Good, his money was safe. Wang Ting was focused on his spiritual body. He eyed the crimson little flame fiercely. Little fellow, you've made me suffer. Wang Ting gritted his teeth and glared at the little flame. The 3 divine flames burned around him, giving off the powerful presence of divine flames. The crimson flame shivered. It shrunk into a little ball and trembled frighteningly like a little girl. Surrender or die. Wang Teng released a wisp of consciousness filled with killing intent. He would release his divine flames and devour the little flame if it tried to resist. The crimson small flame trembled even more violently. It was in extreme fear. Then, it transmitted its thoughts to Wang Teng. I surrender. Wang Teng was stunned. It surrendered so quickly. The taming process was so smooth that it felt unreal. The script wasn't right. As a divine flame, shouldn't you struggle and resist a little? Where's your dignity? Are you really surrendering? Wang Teng asked curiously. The crimson flame turned into a little turtle and nodded fervently. It stared at Wang Ting in a daze. Then, open your origin and let me leave my spiritual mark, Wang Ting said. The crimson little flame finally hesitated. But seeing the 3 balls of divine flames around it, it nodded and turned back into a flame. It was now Wang Ting's turn to hesitate. This divine flame accepted his request too quickly. Was it trying to trick him? However, the hesitation only lasted for a second. He had reached the final step. All he needed to do was to leave his spiritual mark and this divine flame would be his. How could he retreat now? Wang Ting calmed down. He asked his 3 divine flames to prepare themselves in case the little flame retaliated. Reality proved that this crimson little flame was honestly timid. He left his mark successfully without any accidents. I did it. Wang Ting heaved a sigh of relief. After getting this divine flame, he confirmed that his guess was right. The soul of thousand beasts flame. This ball of divine flame was the legendary special flame that was formed from the souls and blood of thousands of star beasts. It had also undergone numerous transformations over the years. The soul of thousand beasts flame could absorb the blood and souls of all star beasts. At the same time, it could benefit the star beasts greatly. Little White and the metal armor flaming scorpion didn't feel any threat from the flaming river because of this soul of thousand beasts flame. When the giant python was burned by the flames, Wang Teng confirmed his guess. These were exactly the traits the soul of thousand beasts flame possess. The rumors were true. The owner of the flaming river world had hidden a divine flame in it. Wang Teng didn't believe it at first. Thinking back about it, he felt a slap in his face. Who would know that this entire flaming river was formed by the scattered soul of thousand beasts flame? It appeared conspicuously in front of everyone, duping everybody for so long. If Wang Teng didn't bring his 2 fire element spiritual pets, he wouldn't have noticed anything amiss. What a close call. He almost missed it. Wang Teng felt fortunate. After taming the divine flame, he controlled his spiritual body to return to his physical body. Boom. The spiritual body rushed out from the flaming river and entered Wang Teng's forehead. Lan and the others gathered around him. Wang Teng opened his eyes. His face was still a little pale, but there was happiness in his eyes. It looks like you've succeeded, Lan said. Thank you. Wang Tung smiled. I was worried about you during this mission. You must give me more money. Lan snorted. No problem. Wang Teng was in a great mood. He laughed happily. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1020, Absorption and Riot. What did you gain? Lan asked curiously when he saw how happy Wang Teng was. He still didn't know what Wang Teng did in the flaming river. With a mysterious smile, Wang Ting stretched out his hand, where a ball of crimson flame was hovering. The crimson flame was extremely strange. It constantly changed its form. First, it was a dragon soaring into the clouds, and next, it was a phoenix spreading its wings. There were also various beasts such as turtles, pythons, toads, and birds. This is a divine flame. Lan's eyes widened. He doubted his eyes. Another divine flame. This fellow already possessed a divine flame. Now, he has another one. What is this luck? I'm jealous. That's right. It's a divine flame. Wang Tung smiled and nodded. He didn't hide it because he couldn't hide what he was going to do next. You got it from the flaming river? Lan took a deep breath and calmed down before asking. The river had existed for a long time. Even though there was word on the streets, no one had discovered traces of the divine flame here. Over time, people started treating it as a rumor. After all, the owner of Flaming River World didn't reveal any news about a divine flame. If a universe-stage martial warrior possessed a divine flame, it would be impossible for him to hide it, to the extent that no one knew about it. Unless he never used the divine flame. But it only took Wang Ting a few days to discover the existence of the divine flame and subdue it. This felt like a dream. Their main objective this time was for the trial mission. Moreover, Flaming River World was at its limits, and time was not on their side. This was unlike previous candidates, who had plenty of time. They would stay for several months, yet they were still left empty-handed. When you compared it like this, that was why Lan found it incredible. Wang Ting nodded and didn't explain much. He was going to let him digest it slowly. He then walked up and tossed out the flame in his hand. Go! The soul of Thousand Beasts flame floated above the river and emitted a strange wave. What is this for? Lan asked. Watch and you'll know. Wang Ting smiled and motioned him to enjoy the show. Boom! At this moment, the flames in the flaming river churned abruptly, and monstrous waves rushed into the sky. Rumble tilde amid the roars, all the flames converged towards the soul of Thousand Beasts flame and merged with it. It was a spectacular scene. The entire flaming river was surging like a flood as if a catastrophe was imminent. Even Wang Ting shuddered when he saw what was happening, and his eyes glistened slightly. If he didn't have divine flames, he wouldn't dare to face such a terrifying flame. Is this divine flame going to absorb the entire river? Lan asked in disbelief as if he had guessed something. To be more precise, this entire river is part of it. Gasp! This divine flame is terrifying. Lan exclaimed. The three Mecha Cosmos stage martial warriors exchanged glances and took a few steps back. They didn't dare to approach the raging river. Lan, get ready. Cao Hongtu and the others would definitely be attracted by such a commotion, Wang Teng cautioned. Lan was stunned and reacted immediately. Okay. The three mechas tensed up and got ready for battle. Hurry up. Wang Teng ordered. The soul of Thousand Beasts flame possessed a certain bit of intelligence. It increased its speed of absorption when it heard that. Back then, the owner of the Flaming River World formed the Flaming River with the divine flame as its core. Its length spanned the entire world, and it was impossible for it to absorb it all at once. Wang Ting knew that too and frowned slightly. He could only wait helplessly for Cao Hongtu's group to arrive. At the same time, a few hundred kilometers away from Wang Teng, Cao Hongtu and the others were hunting fire black toads in the flaming river. Although they didn't think of Wang Ting's plan, they could enter the flaming river with Cinclamon's help to hunt the fire blacktoads. They were quite efficient as well. They had already slain more than 1,000 fire blacktoads, and a total of 41 mid-tier Imperial-level fire blacktoads. They would soon meet the requirements. Of course, this was the result of Cinclamon and Cao Hongtu joining hands. If it was just Cao Hongtu alone, he wouldn't have been able to do it. After all, their strengths were suppressed, and they were unable to bring out the might of a heaven-stage martial warrior. Just as they were surrounding a mid-tier Imperial-level fire blacktoad, an unexpected situation arose. The fire blacktoad fled in horror and broke past their encirclement as if it had sensed something terrifying. The surrounding star beasts were on a rampage as well. Roars soon echoed throughout the river. It was full of chaos. What's going on? Cao Hongtu frowned and had an ominous feeling in his heart. This is a star beast riot. Cinclamon's expression changed slightly. Bang! 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 Right then, the fleeing star beasts exploded and ignited into flames before disappearing. The group's expressions changed, and they felt a shiver travel down their spines. All the star beasts burst into flames. This was too strange. They didn't even know what was going on. The unknown was always frightening. Let's go. This river is abnormal. We can't stay for long, Cinclamon said hurriedly. Without any hesitation, he rushed out of the flaming river. What is going on? Why are these star beasts exploding? Cao Hongtu had a grim expression. Their mission was not yet complete, and such a thing happened. It was depressing. Father, what now? Cao Wu asked. Let's go. Cao Hongtu gritted his teeth and followed Cinclamon after a moment of hesitation. No matter what, staying alive was more important. An abnormal situation happened in the river. Before they figured it out, it was best to leave. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what might happen next. Cao Hongtu and Cao Wu rushed out of the river along with the Cosmos Stage martial warriors that they had recruited. After some time, they got out of the flaming river and reached the skies. The entire flaming river was churning and looked extremely horrifying. Meanwhile, Cinclamon was staring at the river as if he was thinking about something. Chapter 1021. Congratulations, you got it right. The flaming river tossed and turned while the star beasts below roared in despair and fear. They seemed to be putting up their final struggle. Cao Hongtu and his team had left the flaming river and were observing the abnormal situation outside. Cinclamon stood above the flaming river in deep thought. Did you notice anything? Cao Hongtu flew over and asked, breaking the silence. The members of the Parker's family possessed a special fire physique, so they were more sensitive toward the fire. This was why Cao Hongtu consulted Cinclamon. The flames are swarming in a certain direction, Cinclamon contemplated before replying. Towards a certain direction? Cao Hongtu gave a look of disbelief. Why would that happen? Did someone do something to the flaming river? Who? Cinclamon's expression turned ugly. He sneered, besides you and I, who else can it be? Are you saying? Wang Ting. Cao Hongtu understood immediately. How is that possible? Don't forget that he has a divine flame. I saw it personally, Cinclamon said. A divine flame? Why does he have a divine flame? Cao Hongtu's expression turned distorted. Flames of anger flickered in his eyes. Envy. He was red with envy. Cinclamon glanced at him and snorted in his heart. He remained quiet. What do we do now? Cao Hongtu asked. Let's take a look. If he did this, there must be some good stuff in the flaming river. We can snatch it from him. Cinclamon's gaze turned sharp. He gritted his teeth and continued, no matter how strong the Mecha Heaven Stage martial warrior is, you and I will be able to kill him together. All right. Cao Hongtu nodded. They quickly rushed in the direction the flames were flowing. Time passed slowly. Wang Ting had absorbed the majority of the flaming river by now. Countless flames surged into the origin of the soul of Thousand Beasts' flame and turned into small balls of fire. It was hard to believe that there were so many flames inside. Boom! The remaining flames continued churning ferociously, flowing over from the distance. The entire flaming river was about to dry up. The star beasts inside screamed and howled as they welcomed their deaths. The soul of thousand beasts flame bred them, but now, it was taking away their lives. No star beast could escape. These star beasts relied on the soul of thousand beasts flame for survival. They didn't think that one day, they would die in this river. And Lan had been watching him for a long time, but he was still flabbergasted. The scene created by the divine flame was terrifying. Even a heaven stage martial warrior like him was frightened. They are here, Wang Teng suddenly said in a low voice. And Lan and the others turned and stared into the distance. A few beams of light were shooting towards them at an astonishing speed. Honestly, they came much later than expected. This meant that the two parties were quite far apart. But what was supposed to come would come. The soul of Thousand Beasts flame needed to absorb all the flames in the flaming river, so it would definitely alert Cao Hongtu and his team. Nothing could stop this. Well, unless Wang Teng gave up. But if he did that, the soul of Thousand Beasts flame would be incomplete and it would need a long time to restore its power. The loss wasn't worth it. Cao Hongtu and his team saw Wang Teng too. They stopped and looked at them. As expected, it's you, Cao Hongtu said. Senior brother Cao, are you all here to join in the fun? Wang Teng asked with a smile. Divine flame. Sinclairman's gaze landed on the soul of Thousand Beasts flame in front of Wang Teng, noticing it at once. His gaze was filled with excitement and greed. That's another divine flame. There's indeed a divine flame in the flaming river world. Great, even the heavens are helping me. Two divine flames appeared simultaneously. They are all mine. Sinclairman was overjoyed. He was so excited that his body was trembling. He couldn't describe his emotions. Divine flames were exceptionally important to the Parkers. His family had searched for the divine flame for many years in vain. Yet, he encountered it here and two at that. This was a gift from heaven. If there was only one, he wouldn't be able to keep it. However, if he managed to take two back, he could give one to his elder and keep the other one for himself. No one could snatch it from him. Agreeing to come to the Flaming River world with Cao Hongtu was the right decision. It was the best decision he had made in his life. Cao Hongtu also noticed the presence of the soul of Thousand Beasts flame. He was filled with bewilderment, but he didn't say anything in the end. Since Sinclairman was here, the divine flame would never be his. I'm sorry to interrupt. Wang Teng's voice broke his fantasy. Sinclairman turned to look at Wang Teng. These two divine flames are mine. Wang Teng smiled at him. To Sinclairman, the smile was filled with contempt. The expression on his face froze. You tamed the divine flame? Sinclairman asked in disbelief as if he heard something absurd. Congratulations, you're right. Wang Teng nodded earnestly. Sinclairman suddenly felt as if someone had grabbed him by the throat. Why? Why did this happen? What was so special about this fellow? Why did he get recognized by the divine flame? What? Cao Hongtu was dumbstruck. You tamed this divine flame? How is that possible? How can a planetary stage martial warrior tame a divine flame? Cao Hongtu found this absurd and unfair. He almost couldn't control the jealousy burning in his heart. Cao Wu and the other Cosmos stage martial warriors stared at Wang Teng too. They couldn't suppress their bewilderment either. Don't look at me like that. I feel embarrassed. You look as if I slept with your wives. Oh my God. Sinclairman was triggered. He was already furious when he saw Wang Teng possessing two divine flames. The guy then added oil to the fire by humiliating him again. Anger shot right through his head. Wang Teng, this is too much. Cao Hongtu yelled. I didn't frame you, right? Aren't you all looking at me as if I snatched your wife? Wang Teng said. Cao Hongtu wanted to speak, but Sinclairman waved his hand to stop him. He took a deep breath to calm down. Wang Teng, I'll give you one more chance. Give me the two divine flames and follow me back to the Parkers family. You won't have to worry about your life from now on. Think about this carefully. The Mecha Heaven Stage martial warrior won't be able to protect you if Cao Hongtu and I work together. Also, even if we can't catch you, Do you think you can escape from the Parkers after you leave the Flaming River world? Chapter 1022. No man would be able to bear with this. The atmosphere turned tense after Sinclaman threatened Wang Ting. Cao Hongtu was surprised. He didn't expect Sinclaman to take the soft approach first instead of snatching it from Wang Ting directly. Why did he do that? Cao Hongtu didn't understand. He hoped that Sinclaman could slaughter Wang Ting with him and nip all possible threats in the bud. But this wasn't the time for him to speak. He was afraid of disrupting Sinclaman's plan. The Parkers were too powerful. He didn't have Wang Ting's courage to fight the Parkers. If he did, he wouldn't have sent his daughter into their family. Jiao Jiao. Oh right, where's my daughter? Cao Hongtu finally remembered his poor daughter. Although he had sacrificed her for a political marriage, he still loved her. And Lan looked at Wang Ting. He was a little concerned about the Parkers, but he wasn't afraid. Wang Ting's situation was different though. He wanted to be a baron in the empire and the Parkers were one of the 8 dukes. If he offended them, he would have a hard time in the Great Qian Empire even if he became a baron. Now, he possessed 2 divine flames. The Parkers had all the more reason to target him. And Lan knew how important divine flames were to the Parkers family. They would never allow 2 kinds of divine flames to land in the hands of another person. If he didn't give up his divine flames, Wang Ting's life might be at risk. And Lan's expression turned grim. This must be a hard decision for Wang Ting. Wang Ting smiled and said, "You're saying this because you're worried that you can't tame these 2 divine flames, right?" The crowd was stunned. Really? They didn't think about this. Sinclaman's expression froze. He didn't think that Wang Ting would be so quick-witted and see through his plan. He never expected to find any divine flames in the Flaming River world, so he didn't make any preparations. Thus, he had no confidence that he could tame the divine flame. The only choice was to go back and rely on the power of his elders. Everyone knew that Wang Ting was right after seeing his expression. Cao Hongtu's gaze flickered as he glanced at Sinclaman from the corner of his eyes. He was enlightened. Based on his understanding of Sinclaman, he was probably dying to kill Wang Ting after repeated humiliation. The only reason why he could bear it was the divine flames. Sinclaman was a fake person too. You should know that what I'm saying is right. If you continue being stubborn, you'll regret it in the future. Sinclaman didn't answer him directly. Instead, he changed the topic. Chmph. Wang Ting shook his head with contempt. Even if I give you the chance, you can't do anything. I can put these 2 divine flames in front of you and you won't be able to control them. Are you still trying to fight with me when you're so weak? You. Sinclaman turned red in anger. His bald head shone brighter. As a heaven stage martial warrior, he had never been looked down upon so much. Cut the crap. If you want the divine flames, snatch them from me. Let's see if they'll listen to you, Wang Ting said calmly. Good, seems like you want to do this the hard way. Since you are so impudent, don't blame me for being merciless. Sinclaman got angry from embarrassment. And Lan respected Wang Ting's toughness. Since both parties had shed all pretenses of cordiality, he decided to open his mouth and speak up. I sent this the loser from the Parkers family. Didn't you run away the other time? Why are you back again? Sinclaman was helpless and indignant. His face turned black as he glared at An Lan. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, he lost last time and had to run away to keep his life. This was a humiliation. When An Lan said this openly in front of him, he wished he could charge over and fight with him with his life on the line. But he didn't have the balls, he got scared. Do you still want to fight? An Lan opened his arms and said calmly. Cao Hongtu, work with me to kill this mecha first. Sinclaman turned and said to Cao Hongtu. Wang Ting, where's my daughter? Cao Hongtu nodded and asked Wang Ting. Oh, you still remember her? I thought you had forgotten about her. Wang Ting chuckled and took Cao Jiaojiao out of his space fragment. Here she is. Cao Jiaojiao was still tied up. She couldn't move and was lifted up by Wang Ting in an awkward pose. The bare skin revealed was full of whip marks. They intertwined on her skin, making her look miserable. When she came out from the space fragment, she didn't know what was happening. So she shouted instantly, "Wang Ting, what do you want to do? You're a devil. Why are torturing me like this? My father will never let you go." Silence. Everyone went silent. The atmosphere turned awkward for an instant. Cao Hongtu and Cao Wu felt blood rising to their head when they saw Cao Jiaojiao's state. They almost fainted. Sinclairman's expression turned hideous. Cao Jiaojiao was going to marry into his family soon, but she landed in Wang Ting's hand and appeared to have been played. This was the greatest disgrace for their family. If Andrei knew that his fiancée got treated like this, he might lock himself up in the toilet and cry no, he might rush over and kill Wang Ting immediately. Yes, that was right. No man would be able to tolerate this. And Lan looked back and forth between Wang Ting and Cao Jiaojiao with a strange gaze. He seemed to find this situation interesting. Cao Jiaojiao finally noticed something amiss with the atmosphere. She raised her head and saw her father and the others. Her expression froze. Embarrassed and furious. These two words described her current emotions perfectly. "Cough, this is a misunderstanding," Wang Ting said awkwardly. He could tell from their expressions that their thoughts had run a little wild. "Wang Ting, what did you do to my daughter? Wang Ting, what did you do to my sister? Wang Ting, what did you do to Cao Jiaojiao?" Cao Hongtu, Cao Wu, and Sinclairman opened their mouths at the same time. From their questioning tone, one could tell that they were boiling with anger. If gazes could kill, Wang Ting would be deader than dead. "Wang Ting, admit it." And Lan suppressed his laughter and fanned the flames. He didn't mind creating a bigger commotion. His words further confirmed everyone's guess. Cao Hongtu's face turned purple-black. Wang Ting glared at Lan fiercely. This matter affected his innocence, so he hurriedly explained, "Listen to me. It's not what you think. Bastard, do you think we're blind?" Cao Hongtu felt frustrated, exasperated, furious, and helpless. These emotions were displayed entirely on his black face. His beloved daughter was being trampled by someone, and that person was his enemy. Wang Ting felt that he had no chance of explaining himself. Chapter 1023, Cao Jiaojiao wants to cry. Senior brother Cao, I only punished my niece a little. I didn't do anything else. You have to believe my character. Wang Ting felt that he could still save himself, so he explained earnestly, although you called me a bastard, I still decided to forgive you because you love your daughter. Let's talk properly. Cao Hongtu felt as if he had punched a ball of cotton. Helplessness swarmed into his heart. Did he just call Jiaojiao his niece? Niece? How could someone be so shameless? He regretted having any relationship with Wang Ting. Why did he recognize him as his junior brother? He was using it as an excuse now. This was infuriating. Go away, I'm not your senior brother. And Lan was shocked by Wang Ting's shamelessness too. This fellow didn't feel embarrassed talking about such things at all. He tortured the other party so badly, yet he could still stand up straight and scold until he had nothing to say. Looking at Cao Hongtu, he could imagine how frustrated this father was. However, in comparison, the person who got humiliated the most was Cao Jiaojiao. She was disgraced in front of so many people, and the event went astray in a direction she didn't expect. Her reputation was tarnished. She was a social butterfly that could talk to anyone, but she wasn't a slut. Despite being a Cosmos stage martial warrior, she was being reprimanded by Wang Ting like a junior. Her mentality almost collapsed. Cao Jiaojiao wanted to cry. Oh Cao Hongtu, stop wasting time. Make your move. Sinclairman couldn't bear to listen anymore. Humiliating Cao Jiaojiao was the same as humiliating the Parkers. He couldn't bear it. Cao Hongtu turned grim. He stared at Wang Ting intently. Don't be rash. Your daughter is still in my hands. I haven't done anything to her yet, but if you attack, I don't know what he'll do. Wang Ting sniggered. After he finished his sentence, he was stunned. This didn't sound right. It was like something an antagonist would say. Wang Ting, you're despicable. Cao Jiaojiao said furiously. One needs to be ruthless to protect himself. Wang Teng looked at Cao Hongtu and continued, Senior brother Cao, consider it carefully. My little niece is a beautiful lady. God forbid anything should happen to her. Sigh, I feel like him sounding more and more like an antagonist. Bastard. Cao Hongtu's eyes turned red. He was in a dilemma. Don't forget the mission, Sinclaman reminded him coldly. Cao Hongtu frowned. He was struggling in his heart, but the scales started to tilt. His gaze turned firm. Boom. Boom. The next second, Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman attacked and land simultaneously. Cao Hongtu held a blade and released the peak of Cosmos stage power, launching his ultimate attack. Sinclaman executed the peak of Cosmos stage power too. He wielded his axe, releasing his ocean whale flame continuously. The flame symbol on his forehead flickered and started spreading. It quickly grew over his face and neck and continued creeping down. Blue flame symbols covered his skin, raising his aura to an all-time high. He had activated the special fire physique of the Parker's family. The Parker's fire physique is indeed powerful. Wang Teng squinted when he saw this scene. He reminded Lan, be careful. Lan nodded. He took this battle with seriousness and disappeared. He was heading straight for his opponents. Boom. A violent collision occurred. Force swept through the sky. Lan knew that Wang Ting mustn't be interrupted, so he pulled the battlefield far away from where Wang Teng was. Cao Wu and the other Cosmos stage martial warriors eyed Wang Ting fiercely, especially Cao Wu. He didn't dare to think about what Cao Jiaojiao had suffered in his hands. One could imagine how furious he was. Feng, Dong, and Jian, I'll leave these two to y'all, Wang Ting said. The three Mecha Cosmos stage martial warriors nodded. Two of them walked out and started fighting with the other two martial warriors. The remaining Mecha martial warrior stayed beside Wang Teng to protect him. How heartless. Has your father given up on you? Wang Teng looked down at Cao Jiaojiao and smiled. Cao Jiaojiao gritted her teeth. There was a dim look in her eyes, but it disappeared quickly. Even if they don't attack, you won't let me go. This is a wise choice. You're measuring my corn with your bushel. If he doesn't attack, I'll let you go. I'm a man with principles. Wang Teng continued stimulating Cao Jiaojiao. He knew what Cao Hongtu was like. He wasn't lying. Cao Jiaojiao's expression changed. Her heart sank. She knew the truth, but she didn't want to admit it. However, if others said it, things would become different. Cao Jiaojiao was already at the edge of the cliff. Wang Teng's words pushed her off the edge. HMPH. Wang Teng snorted. He disregarded Cao Jiaojiao and turned to look at the soul of Thousand Beasts' flame. He was almost done absorbing it. His efforts to waste time just now weren't in vain. Boom. The flaming river that had existed for who knew how many years started drying up. Flames were extinguished and the star beasts inside started dying. Wang Ting could feel the soul of Thousand Beasts' flame becoming complete and more powerful. The deaths of the star beasts nourished the soul of Thousand Beasts' flame. Mind you, there were countless star beasts living in the flaming river. The nourishment from all of them was of great help to the soul of Thousand Beasts' flame. Wang Ting felt a tinge of enlightenment. He might have understood the intention of the creator of this flaming river. Boom. At this moment, a change happened to the battle some distance away. After a violent collision, the Mecha martial warrior got knocked back by Cao Wu. A huge crack appeared on his body. Fortunately, the mechas were able to heal themselves, so he didn't get seriously injured. Nonetheless, Cao Wu broke through the encirclement and charged toward Wang Teng. Wang Teng raised his eyebrows. He was surprised. This guy was quite strong. Cao Jiaojiao was elated. Let me fight with him. The mecha beside Wang Teng stood in front of him. Give me 5 more minutes, Wang Teng said with a frown. 5 minutes. Dong nodded. He dashed out and welcomed Cao Wu. Cao Wu seemed a little impatient when he saw another mecha rushing over. He roared angrily. In an instant, the force in his body churned, and a dazzling glow shot out from his blade. It hurled over from afar, wanting to kill the mecha as soon as possible so that he could save Cao Jiao. Chapter 1024, Scared to Death. Boom, boom, boom. The battle was intense. Whether it was Lan, Cao Hongtu, and Sinclaman or Cao Wu and Ndong, both fights were heated. Lan's ability was indeed strong. Despite facing two opponents, he showed no signs of falling back. Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman's expressions turned ugly. They thought that they would be able to kill this mecha heaven stage martial warrior quickly with their combined effort. Wang Ting was not a threat without his protection. The result, however, went against their expectations. This mecha heaven stage martial warrior was a little too powerful. He could only release peak-level cosmos stage power, yet they couldn't take him down. The longer they dragged, the more agitated they felt. On the other side, Cao Wu got more and more ferocious as he fought. The mecha battling with him kept retreating. Time passed gradually. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Move. Cao Wu knew that he didn't have much time left. He shouted in rage and swung his blade like a maniac. The blade glows were thrown at the mecha from all sides. Boom. The mecha dodged in a hurry, but he still got hit. He was thrown backward. Cao Wu ignored him and went for Wang Ting. Kill. Cao Wu was immersed in a killing atmosphere. He wasted no time and swung his blade the moment he arrived. Wang Ting stared at him grimly. He was shocked by Cao Wu's toughness. But he wasn't afraid. Although he advanced to the celestial stage only recently, his battle power was exceptional. He didn't do any action, but a beam of light shot out beside him. It was the golden crescent blade. Clang. The golden crescent blade spun in the air and collided with Cao Wu's blade glow. Along with a metallic clang, the blade glow shattered. Cao Wu was caught off guard and thrown back for a few meters due to the impact of the golden crescent blade. He was flabbergasted. Come on. Wang Ting hooked his finger with a calm gaze. He was provoking Cao Wu. Cao Wu's expression froze over. He gathered his force and created numerous blade glows. They intertwined in the air, blocking all paths of retreat around Wang Ting. Let's see how you block this. Wang Ting's expression changed slightly. He was appalled. If this was a celestial stage attack, he could defend it using his physical body. However, Cao Wu was a cosmos stage martial warrior. No matter how powerful Wang Ting was, he didn't dare to face this attack head-on. Wang Ting. Ndong's expression changed, and he rushed over. The other injured mecha had just finished healing his body. He shot toward Cao Wu and wanted to stop him. But it was too late. Wang Ting, let go of my sister, and I'll spare your life, Cao Wu shouted with a hideous expression. Ha ha ha, you can't protect him. Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman laughed loudly when they saw this scene. Lan's expression changed too. He wanted to reinforce Wang Ting, but his opponents wouldn't let him. They launched an all-out offensive. Wang Ting was in a dire situation. But unexpectedly, he didn't retaliate. He stood on the spot and allowed the blade glows to land on him. Cao Wu was dumbstruck. Cao Jiao was still in Wang Ting's hands. He wanted to force him to surrender and not kill him directly. If his attacks hit Wang Ting, Cao Jiao would die too. Yet, Wang Ting didn't follow his script. In the face of death, he showed no fear and didn't have any plans of using Cao Jiao's life to exchange for his own. This bastard had guts. Boom. A loud explosion was heard. The sharp blade glows landed, and a terrifying impact swept through the air. The strong wind caused Wang Ting's hair to dance wildly. But he remained unscathed. Cao Wu had turned the direction of the blade glows at the last moment, so they landed on Wang Ting's left side instead. He didn't want to kill Cao Jiao. This is scary. I thought you'd disown your sister and kill her too. Wang Ting patted his chest and appeared frightened. Cao Wu almost vomited blood. Why? Wasn't this fellow afraid of death? His face turned gloomy while a strong sense of helplessness filled up his heart. As a cosmos stage martial warrior, he didn't know what to do anymore. Lan heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he felt speechless. This was exhilarating. Wang Ting was definitely a maniac. How could he gamble with his life? If Cao Wu decided to be ruthless, he would die here. The smile on Cao Hongtu and Sinclairman's faces froze. They felt suffocated. This result was beyond their expectations. They felt, what the F***K? You're crazy. Cao Jiaojiao thought that she was saved, but Wang Ting would rather die than let her go. She was so frustrated that she wanted to vomit blood. I was scared, Wang Ting said indifferently. Do you think he'll believe you? Cao Jiaojiao was enraged. Cao Wu was burning with anger. He felt that Wang Ting was trampling on his intelligence. But I have to thank you. Wang Ting suddenly smiled at Cao Wu. The place suddenly turned silent. 5 minutes wasn't a long time. The soul of thousand beasts flame in front of him had finally absorbed all the flames. The flaming river dried up, leaving a deep and empty river course. The river was constructed using space power. Hence, when the flames disappeared, nothing much was left. The river lost its support, so the space around the river course started collapsing inch by inch. Wang Ting flew backward, keeping his distance from the collapsing river. Cao Wu went berserk when he saw this scene. He was howling furiously in his heart. But he didn't dare to stay above the river course either. He flew away quickly. Crack. Like a mirror cracking, the river course sped up its destruction and turned into a terrifying dimensional rift in the blink of an eye. Lan and the others stopped their battle and flew away. Even a heaven stage martial warrior wouldn't dare to get too close to a collapsing space. Lan came back to find Wang Ting. That was very risky, Lan complained. Seek wealth in risk. Wang Ting smiled. Cao Hongtu and the others stared at them with distorted expressions. That bastard managed to succeed. Are we leaving? Lan glanced at Cao Hongtu and asked. Of course. I have the flame, so it's time to leave. Wang Ting nodded in agreement. But before he could finish the sentence, he got distracted. Huh! The dimensional rift formed from the collapsed river course was still expanding. The space around it was ripping inch by inch. The entire sky seemed to be getting torn apart. Chapter 1025. Your daughter can have a bitter_romance with me. The dimensional rift spread rapidly. The space around it crumbled, revealing emptiness behind it. Lan, Cao Hongtu, and all the others noticed the abnormality of the dimensional rift. Their expressions changed. Damn it, the flaming river world is about to collapse, Sinclairman exclaimed in shock. He realized what was happening. Cool pace in advance. Wang Ting stared at the scenes around him and felt that Sinclairman's guess was right. If the flaming river world collapses in advance, we won't have a chance to get the legacy, Cao Hongtu said in a low voice. The legacy. Sinclairman's expression turned somber. This was the reason why he came here. He didn't manage to snatch the divine flame. If he lost the legacy, he would have to go back empty-handed. It was exasperating. Wang Ting continued staring at the dimensional rift. Suddenly, he squinted. There were attribute bubbles being born. He regained his senses and happily picked them up. Space *100 space *120 space fragment *50 space *90 space *150 her? There's a space fragment attribute. Wang Ting was shocked. Most of the bubbles contained space attributes, but there were a few that had space fragment attributes inside. Wang Ting had a space fragment, but it wasn't big. With the additional space fragment attributes, his space fragment increased in size. Did the space fragment attribute appear because the flaming river world is collapsing? Wang Ting wondered to himself. Large amounts of space attributes were dropped with a few space fragment attributes hidden among them. Wang Ting was overjoyed. He thought that the collapse of the flaming river world wasn't a good thing, but there were so many benefits to gain. It was worth it. Boom. A sudden explosion came from the distance. Everyone was staggered. They turned and looked in the direction of the sound. A terrifying pillar of fire spurted out from the center of the flaming river world. It soared straight into the sky, linking the earth and heaven. Despite being far away, they could still see this magnificent scene. Everyone widened their eyes in awe and amazement. What's going on? And Lan asked the question on everyone's mind. That's where the volcano is. It's where the last legacy is hidden, Wang Teng whispered. Legacy? And Lan frowned. Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman thought of the same thing. They looked at each other. What should we do? This pillar of fire must be caused by the volcano in the center. The legacy is in the volcano. I suspect that there's a relationship between them, Cao Hongtu said. Sinclaman's expression kept changing. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, let's go and take a look. What about them? Ignore them. The two divine flames will belong to my family. They can't run away. Sinclaman glanced at Wang Ting coldly and said. Father, sister is still in his hands. Cao Wu interrupted them after some hesitation. Jiao Jiao is still useful to him. He won't kill her for now. Cao Hongtu shook his head and said. After conversing for some time, they rushed towards the pillar of fire. They're going there, and Lan said after seeing them fly away. It looks like they still haven't given up on the legacy. Come, let's go over too. Wang Ting picked up the attribute bubbles and chased after them. I knew it. And Lan shook his head. Then, he waved his hand and led the three mecha martial warriors over. Before they left, they turned and glanced at the collapsing sky. The pillar of fire seemed near, but there was still some distance between them. Based on their speed, they would need half a day to rush over. As the space around the flaming river started collapsing, the time became tighter. There might not be enough time for them. Hence, Wang Teng and An Lan raised their speed to the maximum and charged toward the volcano without stopping. Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman were some distance ahead of them. They didn't fight with one another. Instead, they hurried on their journey. They didn't want to waste time on fighting. Half a day later, Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman, who were in front, stopped. They started observing the pillar of fire from afar. Wang Teng and his team stopped too. The volcano range laid out in front of him, stretching into the distance. There was nothing else. The pillar of fire was shooting out from the volcano right in the center. That volcano was the highest, so Wang Teng and his team saw it instantly. They wouldn't be wrong. What does the eruption of the volcano have to do with the drying of the river? Wang Teng asked curiously. And Lan didn't know the answer. Do you want to go over? No hurry. Let's see what they plan to do, Wang Teng replied. I know that you're up to no good. Hey, watch what you're saying. How do you know what I'm planning to do? If you were not, you'd have gone up already. And Lan glanced at him from the corner of his eyes. You're framing me. Don't say anything if you don't have evidence. Wang Teng rolled his eyes. And Lan chuckled. After some time, Cao Hongtu and Sinclaman got impatient and flew ahead, landing on the volcano in the center. Huh! They've gone over. Let's follow them, Wang Teng said hurriedly. Before An Lan could react, he dashed forward excitedly. An Lan shook his head. Wasn't it obvious that he wanted to trick Cao Hongtu and the others? The instant Cao Hongtu and his team landed on the volcano, Wang Teng and his team also arrived. He noticed attribute bubbles floating beside the pillar of fire. Attribute bubbles again. Collect. Constellation force, fire, asterisk 300 constellation force, fire, asterisk 120 constellation force, fire, asterisk 200. These attribute bubbles were all constellation fire force. There was nothing special, so Wang Teng didn't give them much attention. However, he still picked them up, every single one of them. Sinclaman looked at them grimly. He felt helpless. Wang Teng was following them because he wanted them to lead the way. He knew that he was up to no good. Wang Teng ignored them and started thinking. The legacy was below the volcano, but this volcano had erupted. The pillar of fire shot right into the sky. No one knew how powerful the pillar of fire was. Could they get closer to it? This pillar of fire was spurted out randomly. No one knew if it was dangerous. This was what Wang Teng was frightened of. Sinclaman glanced at them eerily. There was nothing he could do to them, so he ignored them and went to check out the pillar of fire. A few seconds later, he leaped into the pillar of fire. Cao Hongtu remained outside. He didn't enter. Wang Teng released his spiritual power and emerald-glazed flame. The emerald-glazed flame wrapped around his spiritual power as it moved towards the pillar of fire, sensing the situation inside. He realized that there was no danger inside and Sinclaman wasn't waiting to ambush him. He had already gone further down. "Let me enter and take a look," Wang Teng said. "Do you need me to follow you?" Lan asked with a frown. Sinclaman had already entered. Wang Teng wasn't his match. There might be danger if he entered alone. Wang Teng contemplated for some time before shaking his head. "No need. I'll enter alone. The flaming river world is collapsing soon. I'll take a look and come back quickly if there's no hope." He paused for a moment before continuing. "As for Sinclaman, I have ways to stay alive even if I meet him. He won't be able to catch me easily." Lan nodded and kept quiet. Wang Teng was a person with his own plan. His ability and experience were all top-notch, and he was extremely sly. There was no need to worry about him. Wang Teng walked towards the pillar. He glanced at Cao Hongtu and smiled. "Senior brother Cao, pray that I'll be safe or your daughter will have to play a bitter romance drama with me." "You." Cao Hongtu's expression turned ugly. "Ha ha ha." Wang Teng laughed heartily and jumped into the pillar of fire. He left a back view for Cao Hongtu to admire. Chapter 1026. I don't lack talent and I don't even want that many. Wang Teng headed downwards in the middle of the pillar of flame. He was using his spiritual power to figure out his path while sensing Sinclaman's position. After all, there was no one else here besides them. The volcano was surprisingly deep. It seemed to be even deeper than what could be seen outside. It was a novel experience. Flames were spewing all around, and they were as gorgeous as a meteor that flew across the starry sky. Soon, Wang Teng sensed the bottom of the volcano. When he landed on the ground, Sinclaman was already observing the nearby situation around him. Wang Teng also scanned his surroundings. It was strange. There were no flames or lava. The ground was cracked and brown, but it exuded scorching heat. It felt hot when you stepped on it. But it wasn't a problem for Wang Teng. After all, with the protection of divine flames and the chill from nether frost, he was extremely comfortable even in such an environment. Besides a unique environment, there was a huge castle not far ahead. Made of unknown white rocks, the castle was tall and majestic. It looked old, and there were many red marks on it. They were similar to burning flames, which was very strange. It was really incredible for such a huge castle to stand in the middle of the volcano. Obviously, this was another space crack that was similar to the flaming river. It was absolutely impossible for such a large space to exist within a volcano. Wang Teng looked up and saw something like a lava-filled lake. It seemed as though flames were flowing in it, but it also felt like a mirror as it reflected what was happening on the other side. They just came down from there. The other end of this mirror was that erupting pillar of flame. "You actually dare to come down alone?" After looking at the castle, Sinclaman turned and said to Wang Teng. "Why not?" Wang Teng retracted his gaze and looked at him calmly, his tone unwavering. It was as though he wasn't facing a heaven-stage martial warrior but just an ordinary person. "Haha, now that the mecha heaven-stage martial warrior is not around, I can squish you like an ant." Sinclaman's voice was extremely cold and his expression was filled with disdain. As soon as he finished speaking, he struck without warning. With a flash of his body, he rushed toward Wang Teng to grab him. He already had enough of Wang Teng acting up and causing him trouble time and time again, making him lose face as a dignified heaven-stage martial warrior. Now that he had the opportunity, he acted without any hesitation. If Wang Teng was killed, even if he couldn't subdue the two divine flames, he could still seal them temporarily. He could then bring them back to Great Qian City for his elder to finish the job. Wang Teng stood where he was and watched calmly as Sinclaman came for him. Although he had attacked suddenly, he was prepared for it and didn't panic. However, Sinclaman didn't know that. A sinister smile appeared on his face just as he was about to catch Wang Teng. As his hand was inches away, Wang Teng's body started twisting. Power of space. Sinclaman's expression changed. As a heaven-stage martial warrior, He was no stranger to the power of space. A heaven stage martial warrior would have access to the power of space and could use it. However, Wang Ting was only a planetary stage martial warrior. How could he employ the power of space? He found it unbelievable. However, that thought just flashed by. He immediately reacted after realizing that Wang Ting had used the power of space to escape. Don't run. There was a chill in Sinclairman's eyes. Force burst out from his body as he imprisoned the surrounding space. Huh! There was suddenly a humming sound in the surrounding space. The next moment, there was a crack as if glass was shattering. A dozen meters away from Sinclairman, the space distorted, and Wang Ting stepped out of it abruptly. A heaven stage martial warrior is indeed exceptional. Wang Ting exclaimed. You can use the power of space. Sinclairman turned around fiercely and glared at Wang Ting. His heart was filled with shock. It was impossible for a planetary stage martial warrior to use the power of space. The only way was that he possessed space talent. Wang Ting didn't deny it, but he wouldn't admit it either. You can't touch me. Blood surged up in Sinclairman's mind when he heard those provoking words. A heaven stage martial warrior like him couldn't deal with a mere planetary stage martial warrior. He had been frustrated multiple times. The feeling made him feel so aggrieved that he wanted to vomit blood. Space talent. What a talent. Sinclairman gritted his teeth with a chill in his eyes. Everyone has underestimated you. I didn't expect a martial warrior from an undeveloped planet would possess such a talent. I don't lack talent, and I don't even want that many. Only people like you treat them like treasures, as if the more the merrier, Wang Ting said in contempt. Sinclairman's face turned green and white. He was being despised. But what Wang Ting said seemed to be right. People of noble birth put great emphasis on talent. Everything depended on one's talent, and bloodlines were above everything else as they determined one's potential. In their world, there was discrimination because of one's talent. They were always above martial warriors who came from undeveloped planets and deemed them inferior beings with inferior talents. They looked down on them. Now, it was a slap in their faces. Wang Ting had an extremely rare space talent. This talent was of a different league compared to the Parker's family. They weren't qualified to look down on Wang Ting. Wang Ting, don't get ahead of yourself. So what if you have an outstanding talent? A genius who hasn't reached his potential yet can't be considered a genius. The Parkers can kill you easily. You shouldn't have revealed your talent, Sinclairman said with a grim expression. Stop talking about the Parkers family. You can't kill me, and neither can your entire family. Wang Ting never lost to anyone in a dispute. Now, he had the intention to kill Sinclairman. It was best to kill him in the Flaming River world. That way, no one would know that he possessed the space talent. If not to avoid the heaven stage martial warrior's attack, he wouldn't have revealed the power of space. Unfortunately, some things were inevitable. Arrogant. Sinclairman scoffed and didn't conceal the killing intent in his eyes. Wang Ting ignored him. He walked towards the castle as he thought about how he was going to kill him. There was not much time. If he could enter the castle and obtain the legacy, the title of Baron would be his without a doubt. No one would be able to dispute that. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.